Who are we missing? Jay?
Okay, welcome to the Pembroke Pines special meeting of May 1st, 2024. And today we're going to hear from applicants for the District 4 interim city commission seat.
Mr. Mayor, the clerk will take the roll just to keep record of who's up here tonight.
Yes,
With your permission. Thank you,
will
Mayor.
the clerk please take the roll?
Commissioner Rodriguez? Here. Commissioner Schwartz?
Here.
Vice Mayor Good?
I am here.
Mayor Castillo?
Here.
City Manager Dodge?
Here.
City Attorney Gorin?
I'm here.
Welcome.
Mayor, I don't want to wreck your train of thought, but I have a suggestion on how we should consider the order of the applicants.
I was just about to explain how I was going to call them up.
I was going to offer a suggestion
Yes, sir.
that we do it by random pick of a hat, and then each applicant, there's 4 of us here in random order selected by the clerk, the order in which the questions would be asked. I can't think of any other way for it to be fair in that.
So what I did was I listed them in alphabetical order and I flipped the coins. And so we're going to do inverse alphabetical order.
So because of how you were born and how you were named, that isn't, while I realize that in elementary school, I would know who's in front of me and behind me. I think it might be best if we just do random names. If
It's up to the commission. What do you want to do? Do you want to proceed with the way I suggested, or do you want to create a process for?
it's not a process, just the clerk selects the names.
I don't know that I have a hat.
So
but-
I spoke to the manager a couple days ago to advise him that I was going to be making the recommendations, so the clerk may be.
That never got to me.
It wouldn't be because that would be a sunshine issue.
It's up to the commission. How do you want to proceed?
Well, I'm ready to roll with this. Just let's get it on. I mean,
Okay.
in terms of answering, asking questions, I think it's fine.
Okay, so I listed the names in alphabetical order and I flipped a coin and it came out inverse alphabetical order. So Mr. Young, you'll be first. And what I'd like to do is I'm going to keep some time here. I'd like to give each of the applicants 5 minutes to make their presentation about why they'd like to be selected for this position and what they think that they could bring to the commission for that, if selected. And then commissioners will have some time to ask questions. We have 5 people now, not 6. We have 5 people. So we can expand the time, to about 10 minutes per candidate, if that's acceptable. So there'll be 5 minutes roughly of presentation. If you need less, you can have less. If commissioners want a little bit more time, I think there's a little bit of leeway there, but about 10 minutes for each candidate. And maybe there'll be time for some public comment, though public comment is really more appropriate on the night of the 15th when we actually vote. So-
Mayor, if the public could ask questions versus providing statements of the candidates, I think it would be a better thing about their application. Questions about their application status, I think would be appropriate for the public to ask.
That they're totally free to consider that, Commissioner. Okay, Mr. Young, you're recognized and welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Can you there's a button there that says talk. No, not yet. Your light has to turn red. Can somebody assist Mr. Young, please? There you go. And if we could just leave it on, that would help for the next speaker.
All right, yeah, keep.
Mr. Young, you're recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Vice Mayor, commissioners and staff. I wondered, what did I do when I put my application in? But I'm a Camp Lejeune Marine Corps survivor, and I have been under treatment for some time, and the Cleveland Clinic has said that I'm in total remission. So I figured, well, I got one more chance, and this came up, and And I did not know how many people would apply, so I figured I'd throw my hat in the ring. I've been around quite some time, since 1988. I've been around the provinces of Pierpoint. I've been in homeowners associations. That motto you see that we have on our little tombstones out there, Mr. Flanagan and I were both on the Economic Development Board when we decided to come up with that. Adrian Cortese was doing that. So, but I'm a contract engineer, so I've been out of town, not leaving, but doing different jobs around the country. And I've been working with a lot of cities on permitting. And I know there are problems all over the country, and we don't have that many problems here in Pembroke Pines. So I thought it'd be an easy deal to sit up here for 7 months, but I know it. I'm just being facetious. But I would like to be able to be around when the hurricanes hit and the budget comes up. I watch on TV. I don't come to every meeting, and I'm not on any board at this time. It seems like everything goes quick on the boards. They get filled really quick, but I'm willing to serve if you decide to select me. I'll be here. I'm retired. I'm available during the daytime and to attend meetings or whatever we might have. So with that, I don't know what else I can add other than I think I know the area pretty good.
Okay, we'll start at the end. Commissioner Schwartz, do you have a question?
Sure. Mr. Young, first of all, thank you for your service to the country. You and I share something in common. We remember Flamingo Road without a guardrail on it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
a blinking light at 184. So you and I came to Pembroke Pines right about the same time. In your application, sir, you had, in your narrative, you spoke about addressing traffic control issues, securing maintenance of traffic MOT permits for various construction projects. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Well, we have to provide, when we go for permitting with any city or county or state, like FDOT, we have to provide MOT, maintenance of traffic, before we can get that permit approved. And it's just like I was working for Verizon as a contractor, we did Pines Boulevard. And there's a lot to do when you have all that traffic on Pines and you're going to bury fiber optics cables that way. But yes, and I have worked Miramar, West Palm Beach, Miami-Dade. As a matter of fact, I worked on the Metro Mover project back then when I contracted to Bell South. That was a lot of moving of telecommunications, manholes, and so forth. And it's just, I have a lot of experience in permitting.
Mr. Young, do we have a traffic problem in Pembroke Pines?
Oh, absolutely. I was surprised. I don't normally commute to work, and I went out there the other day and said, good Lord. It took me like 25 minutes to get down to where I was going and to the doctor down Pines Boulevard. But I know how to get around it a little bit because I did a lot of engineering work up here. I don't know what we can do about the densification that we've got out here. It's severe. We have a lot of problems. I don't know. We have so many circular drives in these homeowner associations. We don't have any north, south, east, west. So we're really limited. And I know that we're trying to do something on Pembroke Road, and we need to really look at that to get. I know a lot of traffic comes up from Miramar to Pines to go to 27.
Last question, Mr. Young. Of the four of us on this dais, what elected officials contacted you prior to your presentation this evening?
I beg your pardon?
Who spoke to you? Which elected official spoke to you after you submitted the application? Did anybody call you?
Oh, you and Angelo
Thank you, sir.
gave me a call when that was going on. What are you doing?
Yeah, we don't vote until March 15th, so it's entirely appropriate for commissioners to wait until before then to contact people or not at all. It's up to every commissioner. Any other questions, Commissioner Hernandez?
Rodriguez. Are you planning to run for District 4 if reopening?
No,
No.
no, I'd just like to make it clear for all the candidates to have a good campaign, not be, you know, not be caught up. They're welcome. If I were appointed, I'd help them, go to meetings or whatever, keep in touch, but I'm not gonna run.
Okay, thank you. And then you mentioned budget. We obviously have our budget hearings and our decision on the budget come this summer. What experience do you have with city budgets or, any relevant experience in that manner?
Well, I went to the New York Institute of Finance some many, many years ago before I went to work at the Kennedy Space Center. And I was a stockbroker or investment banker for a while, but I got caught in two down markets. And I said, this wasn't for me. Commission and whatever wasn't there. So I went back to engineering after that. But yeah, I have a pretty good feel for the budget items and also with homeowners associations. We always have our annual budget that we have to look at. So I don't know the extent of the Pines budget, but I'm willing to jump in.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Vice Mayor?
Mr. Young, Semper Fi,
Till I die.
till you die. Sir, I thank you for having the courage to take this role on and being before us today to share with us who you are and what contributions you can make to the city. So I only have one very quick question for you is, what would you do to understand the financial stability of the city?
Well, I'm pretty heavy into ChatGPT. I love it. I'm studying to be a prompt engineer, and I probably run about half of that budget to find out what they came up with on that. But I'd study it. I mean, I haven't, but that's no problem. Like I say, I'm retired and give it a good go and find out what's going on.
Mhm. Thank you, sir.
I have no questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Young.
Thank you.
The next applicant is Michael Hernandez.
The talk button's on. We're good.
Yes.
Okay.
Ready to go.
Well, thank you very much. And I want to thank all four of you, first and foremost, for voting to establish a process. I think everyone here who's applying would agree 45,000 plus residents of District 4 deserve somebody to be appointed, even on an interim basis, to vote on your budget, to vote on anything that may come, not just the budget. It's a 6 to 7 month term. So I appreciate all of you. Commissioner Schwartz, a lot of what I'm going to say, we spoke about on the phone for an hour, so I apologize for being redundant. But I do thank you for reaching out to me. I have lived 15 and a half years in the city of Pembroke Pines, all 15 of them, unfortunately for him, in Commissioner Castillo's district. 2 homes in Commissioner Castillo's district over 15 years, even while I had jobs outside of Broward County that took me to roughly 14 countries at a time. I still chose, along with my wife, to live in the city of Pembroke Pines. We have 2 children. They're 11 and 8 years old. They attend Chapel Trail Elementary School. My son, God willing, will be at Silver Trail Middle next year. In other words, why I say all that, I'm invested in Pembroke Pines. Even as the communications director for a completely separate government, we chose to live here. There's a reason for that. I didn't have to live here. I wanted to live here. I love the community even before, yes, traffic got a little out of control in some areas during peak hours. I love the community. I'm happy to be here. My professional background, I know that we submitted resumes, but for the benefit of the record, 21 years really in public affairs, mostly in crisis communication work. My background is mostly in communications, and why that's important is because folks don't always understand what that is. But the reality is that when the C-suite, as we call it, chief executive officers, I can publicly say some of my clients, they're not governments, but for example, there's a sports franchise in South Florida. Their chief executive officer hired me to help them with media training. In other words, getting in front of a camera, talking about what they do, not on the field. I'm not a sports agent. but what they do in the community. There are other organizations that call me, unfortunately, when they have a crisis. Some of them have been very high profile here in South Florida. Some of them have been elsewhere. That's what I'm called in to do. And many times, because it's bilingual communications, I'm fluent in 2 languages. So I want to make that very clear, because sometimes folks ask me, what exactly do you do, Mike? That's what I do. Some have asked, I did do television for 5 years. That was something that I did on the side. I've since had to leave that position. I was a political analyst on 2 stations in English and Spanish. I left that position because I committed to running for this position. And I am a qualified candidate for District 4. Why I think it's important to have an appointee now, I just stated. I don't think the commission should have 4 seats. I think we need 5, not because of any other reason. No matter who you choose to appoint, we need somebody up there. Century Village is in District 4, 13,000 residents, all above the age of 55. They have issues. The commissioner, I'm not going to look at you because you know this very well, but someone who has not been in elected office but knows Century Village well, has family who lives there, knows there, and I'm sure all of you also know, even though you don't represent that district, they need a representative. They need one now. Well, May 15th, excuse me. And they will have an opportunity to have a referendum on the candidates. I think that is critical. I also think that it's critical that you all, hopefully, I know you still have to go through a second reading, that you do actually reopen qualifying to all candidates beyond the March 15th deadline, so everyone can run for that position. I think that's also right for our district. So I wanted to state those on the record, because some have reached out to me about something I said at a recent meeting. I want to be very clear. I'm as transparent as they come. So I would like everyone in our district to have an opportunity to run for that position as well. But as far as the appointment goes, I believe my background in government and outside of government makes me uniquely qualified. I know that there are areas where I would very much like to assist the city. I know that everyone has their specialty when you're an elected official. There are areas that, yes, you all vote on a budget. Yes, you all vote for your districts. But there are aspects of your expertise that you bring and different perspectives, if you're in different generations, for example, that you bring to this commission and that are a part of your discussions when you go to vote for anything. I believe the city of Pembroke Pines, which is roughly 50% at this point Hispanic, needs more materials in Spanish, whether it be the website, whether it be our materials that we send out to individuals, whether it be in town hall meetings. We need to reach out to all residents. And I think we do an admirable job, but with my background, I would like to push that. I would like to make sure that I can help the manager and help his staff, who again, do an admirable job. And I appreciate what the manager has done. We wouldn't be the city that we are today without Charlie Dodge. I appreciate that. But I think there's always a different perspective that could help us move in a better direction, given the fact that we continue to evolve as a city. We're not some small hamlet in Southwest Broward anymore. Second most populous city in Broward County, 11th largest in the state of Florida. And one of the points that I think we need to do is when it comes to, I think Bob was asked about Pembroke Road, that's not a luxury. I attended a recent MPO meeting, and I know we discussed this, Commissioner, where the discussion was mostly about widening a sidewalk on Pembroke Road. I mean, that's wonderful. But we're not a sidewalk widening project away from relieving traffic and being able, and I'm not saying the entire city has traffic at all hours, but during peak hours, despite the best efforts of the police department directing traffic around schools, we need more help. Synchronization of traffic signals. That's a county issue. I understand that. There's no reason I need to sit 160 seconds at a red light at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday like I did yesterday. No reason for that. There are issues that we need to take up, and advocacy is part of being a city commissioner. I don't need to tell any of you, but I'm ready to serve if you all will have me. I appreciate everybody who has applied, and I appreciate that you opened up the position. I'll answer any questions that you may have at this time, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and again to you, Mr. Hernandez. Thank you for the courage to step up and take the position of leadership. So I want to also thank you for agreeing with us to appoint a interim District 4 commissioner. So thank you for elevating that agreement with us. I would also ask you the same question as I asked Mr. Young. So what would you do to understand the financial stability of the city?
The first answer to that, because it's multi-pronged, you sit with the manager. You don't come into any position, whether you're a candidate or an elected official that's being reelected, and assume that you know everything. Some folks have asked me, well, you worked in Miami-Dade County, our budget was $7.5 billion. And I had to go on television stations in 3 languages to explain that budget. I didn't know anything. I had to sit there for 3 or 4 hours with our budget director at the time, Jennifer Moon, to understand it. Now, I wouldn't come in not knowing anything of what the manager has proposed and you all adopted. I obviously understand there's a budget process. There may be a misconception as to here's your budget, you vote on it. There's a process. It takes several weeks. They present a budget as administration, you go through it, you speak to folks like us out here that are residents, and you determine what the priorities are. I also would never come into a position as a commissioner and say I'm an absolutist. I'm absolutely voting to cut taxes, keep them flat, or raise taxes. You can't say that, or you can, but you'd sound dumb, because the fact is you don't know everything until you actually review the budget and speak to the manager and speak to his deputies. So I would first come in and bother the manager immediately and say, I need to sit down with you and I need a good amount of time to go through, because I'll have questions based on the last adopted budget that you had last fiscal year, and see how the situation has changed to this fiscal year and what the projections are. I think projections are critical, Commissioner. Oftentimes the projections overestimate or underestimate property tax revenue. And sometimes it's better when they underestimate it, because you have more money than you thought you had. And perhaps you can hire more police officers and firefighters. But that's part of what I would do immediately.
Okay.
Yes, just one. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I just wanted to confirm, are you qualified already to run for the office of district?
Yeah, since,
Okay. Thank you.
You can tell me, but it was in February, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Mr. Good stole my question, so
I won't answer no more.
I don't have any further questions, thanks.
Commissioner Schwartz.
You covered my last one, so.
Yes, sidewalks, that's what the MPO is working on instead of traffic relief, which is another bureaucratic boondoggle.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Hernandez, the Vice Mayor mentioned budget. You served on the District 4
Budget Council.
Budget Council, right? It's not an official board, but you had meetings. About how many?
We had one every other month for about a year. There were some that I couldn't attend in person, so I called in, and there were others that I attended right over here in one of the side rooms of the city concert hall.
So you've been made aware of the budget process and what we have and.
Yes, a lot of it, because Florida governments usually have the same process, so it was a refresher, but yes, I was made aware. Our fire department chief, our police chief, the city manager, his staff all came at different times. And whenever we had questions about the process, we asked them, they answered them as candidly as they could at the time.
To the best of your recollection, when was the last time that committee got together?
It was last year. It was last year in the summer.
In the summer. Is there any reason why any member of the committee didn't present anything to the commission during the budget hearings?
Again, my understanding from that was, given that it's not a citywide board and it was only for a commissioner in one specific district, there were recommendations made directly to that commissioner. I believe, as a matter of fact, Scott Barnett,
He made recommendations.
I believe he came up here not as an official chairman of the budget council, but as somebody who participated in it and had a lot of questions and gave his recommendations as a member of the council. But again, I do not believe that we were an official city-wide board. It was advisors to the then District 4 commissioner. I think you would have had a formal report otherwise.
You've served on official boards, though, 2 of them.
Yes, the Economic Development Committee, 2016 to 2020. The Social Media Committee, which I really enjoyed, was for about a year and a half before just naturally sunsetted based on what the city put together.
Right. Did you enjoy your time on the Economic Development Board?
I did, but the communications aspect of it was what I enjoy most. But yes, I did. And I learned a lot about my district, especially given the commercial development that was happening at the time on Dykes, south of Dykes and Pines. We had that entire new center, which was the old post office, regional post office facility. Well, Mike Stam would brief us on how that was working and when it was going to be built, what was coming online there, what the tax revenue we expected to be, anticipated to be for the city of Pembroke Pines, et cetera.
So as a commissioner, we have the unique opportunity to appoint citizens to official city boards. And if you were to be selected to be up here, you would have that opportunity. How would you go about choosing a citizen for, say, the Economic Development Board? What would you look for?
First, you advertise it, but second, then you interview with all of them. I don't think there's an excuse not to interview every single one, whether it's 25 of them or 2. Second, they have to have a legitimate interest in the city. They have to be able to say, I've been a longtime resident, somebody that will depend on the actual development in our city. And most importantly, somebody who's going to be judicious and honest in what it is that they listen to. They provide you with information. You can assist the city administration in promoting the information to neighbors. But most importantly, I'm not saying you need to have a PhD in economics. I am saying that you have to have, your heart needs to be in the right place about the city and to assist the city and actually offer recommendations. I know Manager Dodge will send, whether it's the Assistant City Manager, Stam, or others, to participate in those meetings. I would want someone kind of like you four that would ask the questions and try to do what's best for the city.
Commissioner, we're running,
over
I'm
the-
sorry, Commissioner, we're running short on time. This will be your last question, so we can get to the rest of them.
That's fine, Mayor. So over the last year and a half or so, the commission has struggled with attendance and meeting quorums. What
On
would
the commission or
on
your
the
boards?
for the advisory boards, right?
Okay.
What would you do with an appointee of yours that, say, missed nearly half the meetings? How would
Well,
you
the
handle
most important thing is I'd have to look at Sam and ask him if I actually could establish an attendance requirement for my appointee. I don't know that I can do that because I'm not an attorney, but I would say that part of what I would tell them is whomever you are, John Smith, if you are being appointed, I expect you to attend 85% of the meetings or whatever it may be.
Thank you, sir.
If Sam said that I could do that, I don't know if I can.
Thank you.
I have no questions. Thank you very much. The next speaker will be Lorna Carbonel.
Good evening. I'm the middle child either way you went. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager, City Attorney, City Clerk, and our esteemed guests. So I stand here before you tonight as an applicant for the interim District 4 commission seat. And I have been in this beautiful city since 1984. And when I was looking to move from Hialeah, Dade County to a new location, I wanted to live in a city that had community, it had family, it had parks, it had great schools, and we chose Pembroke Pines. And at that time, I actually lived in District 1. And then we decided to move out west. And when I moved out west, the old Sportatorium was still standing. And one Sunday afternoon, as we were driving out west, there was a cow walking on Pines Boulevard. And I remember calling our officers, and they started laughing because they didn't believe that there was a cow walking on Pines Boulevard until additional calls started coming in. And then they said, ma'am, where did you see that cow? And so I told them, and somebody rescued it, so obviously no one got hurt. But I have been in this city for a really long time, and I love Pembroke Pines. I love what it stands for. I love that I've been able to raise my family. My daughter lives in Commissioner Rodriguez's district, and she has raised her 3 daughters here. And my mom, who is with us tonight, She lives in Century Village, so we are all on Pines Boulevard. And so we are just part of this community. And as you know, I've worked for Broward County government for 10 and a half years and been very involved because for 9.5 of those years, we were over part of Pembroke Pines. And my family has gone to hundreds and hundreds of events. And we especially love the veteran events that we do and a lot of the senior events. And of course, all the family and kid events that we do. My family and I were here on Saturday to help celebrate the 64th birthday celebration, which was amazing, a lot of fun. The weather turned out beautiful and cooperated with us. And we are a family that gives back to our community. It doesn't matter whether we're running an autism run at CB Smith Park, we're working with Children's Harbor. We are constantly, looking for ways to give back to our community. This morning I was at Pines Charter Academic Village for Kaylee's Gold Honor Roll, and that was amazing to be able to be there and watch her shine. She also made National Honor Society, and we're super proud of that as well. I am willing to do whatever we need to do to keep Pembroke Pines moving forward. I would be super excited to be able to work with each and every one of you and with our manager and our attorney and our clerk. And more importantly, not only the residents of District 4, but the residents of all of Pembroke Pines. I liked what Mike Hernandez said about having brochures in more languages, but we're not a city of just American-speaking people and Hispanics. We are a very diverse city. We have Haitian community, we have Portuguese, we have so many different languages. And I think that as a city that is progressive and is moving forward, we could have multiple languages for our residents. So I'm open for any questions.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Schwartz.
Okay. Ms. Carbonel, yeah, I wasn't sure which way that was going to go. Okay. You left out something. You were a small business owner.
I was a small business owner here in Pembroke Pines. I owned the coffee scene. We were very involved in the community and also all of the schools out west and the churches. We have some amazing talent in this town. And it was an awesome opportunity to be a business owner. Thank you for that, Jay.
Not a problem. The reason I mention that is because the uniqueness of being able to be private sector as well as public sector. Some folks lose the ability to connect with folks. You had to make your payroll.
Mhm.
If you didn't go to work, you didn't eat. You couldn't take your vacation without being paid, right? Back to, do we have traffic in Pembroke Pines?
I'm sorry.
Do we have traffic in Pembroke Pines?
Do we have traffic in Pembroke Pines? Yes, Commissioner.
Okay. Are we overbuilt?
Well, we still have green land, but I think, I don't want to say we're completely overbuilt, but I think as we move forward as a commission and as a community, we need to be a little more proactive on what we're agreeing to allow to be built in Pembroke Pines. And I know sometimes that's out of our control. I know when the FBI building was being built, there was no choice. We were told it was going, where it was going, what it was going to look like, and all that stuff. So, but for, I think, things that we can talk about and we can have a say in and we can stop, I think, we need to do that when it's appropriate.
Working at Broward County, living here in Pembroke Pines, you understand affordable housing
Mhm.
and the need, yes?
Yes.
Where in District 4 would affordable housing go?
Well, again, we've heard rumors that it could go on 172nd. So, again, there's repercussions if we don't do something. But again, when you look at our teachers, a lot of our teachers are underpaid. And we found out in Broward County that there are teachers that are living out of their cars. And that's sad. And if Pembroke Pines as a city could build affordable housing that we could put teachers in and their families, wow, that would be huge. And that's a need that we have. And we're talking about teachers that work for us. We're not talking about somebody in another country. We're talking here in South Florida. And, you know, I think as a city, we do so many great things. And what would that do for us, you know, putting that on the map?
Thank
Okay,
you.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Hi, thank you so much. You mentioned the traffic congestion is kind of going along those lines, but because you have a background in public transportation working for the county currently, what ideas can you, you know, promote or move forward if put in this position? Do you have any, you know, concepts, ideas, anything you've seen at the county to hopefully expand a little bit further out west here?
Sure. So one of the projects that the county is working on is a $4 billion project. It's our Primo plan. And I know it was presented to the MPO folks, and it is moving forward. One of the things that they are looking at is how can we bring bus rapid transit, commuter rail, light rail, how can we do that more east-west and not so much north-south? And we've had that request from our friends to the south of us to have that east-west corridor. And the other thing is, you know, people being willing to get out of their cars and take public transportation. And, you know, for that to happen, like even for myself, if I needed to go from my house to my office, I would have to take a lot of buses. And so how do we make those connections with less time and more accuracy? So those are already being looked at the county, and hopefully we'll have some good news on that not too far down the road.
Thank you. Are you planning to run for the District 4 if when we reopen qualifying?
Originally, I would say no, but because it wasn't an option, and I'm not saying I won't, and I'm not saying I will. Right now, I'm focused on the interim position because I want to make the best, be the best, and be with you guys during that 7-month time frame. So, and I don't want someone to say, well, you said you wouldn't, and now you are. So, I'm not planning on it at this moment, but I would never rule it out completely.
Gotcha, thank you. And last question is, do you have any experience with city budgets? It's the question I've asked for the other ones.
Yeah,
but,
so not a
experience on
city
that.
budget, but obviously working for the county. I do, and right now being the manager of transportation and the marketing, communications, customer service arena, I have almost a $3 million budget.
Thank you, that's it for me.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and again, thank you to Ms. Carbonel. I also extend that appreciation for your courage as well, too, to be standing before us today. I'm going to ask the same questions I've asked the other candidates. I think it's a very good question, actually. What would you do to understand the financial stability of the city?
So when I went to work in transportation, you know, we had this humongous budget, and I didn't understand it because I didn't work there until I worked there. And then, so I sat down with the vice president of finance and also his immediate report and asked them to show me our budget, what it entails, what it makes up, what happens, you know, if we don't meet this, what happens if we go over, who does it affect? How do we, do they rob Peter to pay Paul? What is the sequence? And we spent a couple hours going over that. And then when it came time for me to do my budget for the following year, it made sense to me and I understood how to process it, what to look for, how to increase, where could I decrease, where could I make some cost savings, and then went back and met with them. So I would do the same thing here. I would meet with City Manager Dodge and the finance people to totally understand, what we have, what we're doing, what our goals are, where we want to go, where we must go, and making sure that I understand like what the key points are, making sure we're taking care of our people, making sure, we're watching out for and our first responders. I'm married to a 44-year firefighter and a veteran, Air Force Vietnam veteran. So those things are very important in making sure as a city that we are, moving forward in the right direction.
I have no questions. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
The next presenter will be Elizabeth Burns.
Hello, everyone.
If you could pull that down, the mic. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Commissioner, thank you for your service. City manager, city attorney, city clerk, thank you all for what you do. Okay, I would like to have a few minutes to read my presentation, if that's okay. I know a lot of you may have had my bio, um, but this is more personal as well, what I do right now. So I'll indulge you for a few minutes. Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Byrne, event planner, business owner, and community advocate. I'm Caribbean, I'm Jamaican, I'm
In the
American.
microphone, please. Into the microphone, please.
Sorry?
The microphone. If you're trying to wave, the public can't hear you.
Okay. Yes, I'm American, Caribbean, Jamaican, born in Jamaica. Immigrated several years ago for a pursuit of a better life for my family, my children, my husband. We have lived here in South Florida for 46 years, of which 25 years has been in Pembroke Pines and 20 years, 5 months on the west side, District 4. So I'm well aware of things that go on in District 4, and it's my privilege to be living in this area. It is a beautiful space, and I have no regrets. I began my career in South Florida as a systems account analyst, and later I became the supervisor of data processing and processing manager and system security personnel at 2 different international banks back to back. I have been privileged to be the first Caribbean, the first Jamaican, the first female to work in one of those banks at that time. It's a Brazilian bank, and they don't hire females for that particular position that I had. They took a chance on me, and I'm very happy to say that was for 10 years. So that was a milestone. Later on, I became an entrepreneur, started my own business as an event planner, production manager, and systems marketing. It provides excellent and impeccable service to my clients. I am the producer of several annual community events, and as well as celebrating Caribbean American Heritage Month, which I think some of you may be aware of. I recognize and celebrate other cultures as well. In fact, in 2017, when the Pine City Center was open, before it became Charles Dodge, I was the first person to host the Caribbean event at that center. And the mayor was in attendance. Thank you. I'm the producer of the Unique Cameron Culture Award, which recognizes people in our community with Caribbean roots, as well as non-Caribbean. So we have expanded it to reach other folks with the Friends of the Caribbean and the Lifetime Achievement Award. The recipient of a Lifetime Achievement Award in 2021 was our very own former mayor, Frank Ortiz. Over the years, I have had many awards, many proclamations from the cities, surrounding cities, and the county, as well as Miami-Dade County. And it's a privilege for me to receive every one of those for my work, whether it be in community service or supporting the Caribbean community, supporting the Hispanic community. As you all know, I am pretty much here at almost every event. So my civic responsibility, I'm a current member of the Pembroke Pines Diversity and Heritage Advisory Board. And it's almost 4 years that I'm on that board. And it's really a privilege for me to be on the board. In 2020, 2021, I created a calendar of events, approximately 25 events, because I felt after COVID, a lot of people were not really getting too enthusiastic about coming out to the meetings, although it was at home, on the computer, virtual. So I decided to create the list which involves almost every culture that you can think of that exists here in Pembroke Pines. MLK was celebrated. I think Mayor had already signified that. Right now, in 2023, 2024, they've decided to host the Hispanic Heritage Month Festival, as well as the Caribbean Heritage Festival. And 2024, a few months ago, at the board meeting, I proposed $150,000 to fund some of these events. And I'm happy to say that they came back to say it was approved. Thank you all for stepping up and showing us that you do believe that we need to show more culture. As far as I'm concerned, Pembroke Pines is a melting pot of people from all different countries. And I'm a perfect example of that. Okay? I'm also, I'm also the president of Unique Creations by Liz, which is an event planning company. A former member of JURA, Jamaica United Relief Association, for 25 plus years. I've been their marketing, public relations vice president for many years. And what we do, we secure funds, and we use some of those funds here because we actually have the business here. And others we share with the hospital and other such entities in Jamaica. I'm also a member of the Jamaica USA Chamber of Commerce and the Lauderdale Sister Cities International. I'm one of the board members. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very, very much. Commissioner Rodriguez.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. I will ask the same question I asked before. Do you have any experience regarding the city budget or millage rate? Understanding what that means or?
Well, the city budget, I don't know in detail. I'm willing to learn with the help of Mr. Dodge. And I could also be looking at different years to analyze how it changes from year to year. And perhaps, perhaps we could make some changes, but I would have to sit and analyze one by one for the last 10 years or so, and then have a discussion with the Dodge. He's the person who handles all the financial affairs of the city.
Thank you. Are you planning to run for District 4?
Actually, I've been asked that many times, and I'm really not sure as yet. I have something to work on, and I've run for the city twice as commissioner against Mr. Mayor, and also as mayor. I enjoy my city. I walked from the east to the west and back, right? I've enjoyed meeting a lot of people. They've expressed that they want to see someone who looked like me on the commission. I said, well, you got to work at that, But I'm not sure as yet if I will run. It will take me another couple of weeks, but I cannot say yay or nay. I really am not 100% sure.
Thank you so much. And lastly, you mentioned traffic control and public safety as one of the things you would like to look into if appointed interim commissioner. Can you just give me an example of possible solutions that you would like to bring forward?
Well, I live in District 4, which is Flamingo to US 27. It is really, really bad, especially at certain times of the day. Today, I was very pleased that it wasn't so bad, and I actually left 1 hour early to get here for a 15-minute drive. And I was very surprised that today it was pretty good. I do believe that it is possible to make some road changes. Some people may not like that, but I do believe there's some space on the west side from US 27 to Dykes Road. That's where the bottleneck is at certain times of the day. I believe there could be some modifications there. There's also an opportunity to ride share and carpooling. So, among other things.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. That's it for me.
Vice
Thank
Mayor.
you.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. And Ms. Burns,
Yes, sir.
I am very thankful for your resiliency and your continued efforts to show that you care to lead. So thank you for doing that again with us tonight.
Thank you.
So I just have the same question and everybody else I asked is, what would you do to understand the financial stability of the city?
I would have to consult with the city manager, and I know there are quite a few things to get done, but I would prefer to discuss with him to know details, because I haven't checked into, I know the city is stable financially. I know a lot of things are running smoothly, thanks to all of you and the city manager, city attorney. But I would prefer to sit with him, have a conversation with him to see the flow and how we can, make a difference.
Commissioner Schwartz.
Thank you. Good evening, Ms. Burns.
Good evening.
So full transparency, we had a conversation
Yes.
last week, yes?
Yes, of course.
And I appointed you as the District 2 appointee to the Diversity Heritage Board, is that correct?
Yes.
And you became chair of that board, is that correct?
I was chair.
You became chair of that board, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as chair, you were at the top of the list that created the MLK event that we've had now 3 years in a row.
Well, I proposed it, yes.
Yes. I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
I also supported you for commissioner back in 2022, is that correct?
Yes. you
Full
did.
transparency, I've done that,
Yeah.
yes? Okay. So when I ask you questions, it's not because I hadn't supported you before, right?
Correct.
So my question is, with respect to police and fire, would you raise taxes to ensure that first responders have everything that they need?
I would like for them to have everything that they need. Whether we have to raise taxes or not, I would have to look at everything to say yea or nay, because perhaps we don't have to. Maybe we can shift some of the budget from one location to another. But of course, we need to take care of our police and the firemen.
Do we need affordable housing in Pembroke Pines?
It could be necessary, and I think it is necessary. However, we will have to decide on where to put it, because on the west side of Pembroke Pines, we're building a lot.
So you would be opposed to building anything in District 4?
Not opposing, I don't oppose that. I will have to analyze and see where it can be placed. Right now, they're digging ground for another community in Pembroke Pines West at 178, I think it is. So we will have to look at everything to see, can we accommodate it? How is the traffic going to go? I think before building anything, we need to analyze the traffic and the actual district to see if it can accommodate more homes. But naturally, I think affordable housing is necessary in Pembroke Pines. For instance, when my children want to buy a house, I believe they cannot afford a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom for almost 800,000, a townhouse. So there should be some way of analyzing which area can accommodate those homes and how the traffic flow will occur. So I can't say no to District 4 until I look at the different possibilities.
Last question, your position on incineration and recycling?
And I absolutely do not want the incinerator to be in my backyard. I'm at 186th Avenue. And many people here are probably west of me. Also, if this is going to affect the seniors, special needs, and those folks in Central Village, I absolutely would not want to see that incinerator here. I think there may be other provisions that we could look into. Other countries use a different method. Also, if Doral has the space available It was actually there. It was zoned for that particular location. Why are we coming to Broward County to put it in a place where it's going to affect a lot of people? So that's something for the county and the city to decide how, how to move forward.
Thank you. Because of time constraints, we'll leave it there, and thank you for your testimony.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Bojani. And he will be our last speaker.
Thank you, Commission. Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioner Schwartz, Commissioner Rodriguez, City Manager Dodge, City Attorney Gorin, and City Clerk Graham, who always has to deal with all of us coming in and qualifying. I think that it puts a lot of hard work behind the scenes, and people don't realize how hard that job is. I first off I hope everyone had time to go through my resume and be able to understand the things I can bring to the table for the city. As LeBron James said to Miami Heat when he came down, he's bringing his talent to South Beach. I moved from Orlando in 2017, and with my expertise in government contracting and things like that, it's time for me to bring my talent to Pembroke Pines and put it to effect. Really, you have to understand in the aspect of budgets and things like that, it's not just a numbers game. You have to go look at each department's needs individually. Most people don't realize that a good portion of our budget goes towards public safety. That scares people. Of a $250 million budget, if 60% of that goes to public safety, people don't realize that's the need. Our fire department, our police department, our public works department all have needs that have to be satisfied. But it doesn't just take a piece of paper to do so. When we're going through the budget and things like that, I expect to sit down with those officials so they can tell me what they need. I think Mayor Castillo asked me that similar question when he called me on the phone. And I said, at times we may have a piece of equipment that's 20 years old. The Public Works Department may be able to increase their productivity and serve our citizens better if we're able to get some extra funding for that, not just go and shut down funding and things like that. We've also done a good job on keeping our tax rate fairly uniform. As I was doing the research and looking at the mill rate, things like that, we've kept it fairly consistent. We've used the rollback since COVID. A lot of other counties that I work with have not been able to do that. Their property taxes went from, on certain properties, $5,000 a year down to $2,000. That helps and also hurts our citizens. Pembroke Pines has always done a wonderful job, and I think it's because we've had a commission that's had the knowledge and things like that, and sat in these seats for 20 plus years and communicated well and put that towards the table. That's really what I bring to the table, the knowledge of that kind of stuff. Not only that is as Mayor Castillo again told me, this position has a lot of diversity. And it is going to take a specific individual to almost become, from your mouth, a social worker. And caseworker, my apologies. That was exactly what I'm doing this for, to give back to the community. I'm here to help everybody. My phone is open. As a lot of my friends, colleagues, and stuff like that, they do call me for their social aspect, whether it's trouble at home, whether it's problems with a water bill or things like that. Because of the knowledge, in the short time, I'm only 32 years old, but I've been in the industry since I was 18 years old. And not only that, due to public service, I had an opportunity to work with Florida Highway Patrol. And in order to do that, I actually relocated from Orlando to Pembroke Pines and skipped my college graduation to serve our state, to make sure I was here, to make sure we could facilitate first responders and get that. So I make the sacrifices. I have a young family, 2 daughters and a beautiful wife at home who support me 110%. My wife, her birthday is actually May 15th.
Happy birthday.
So she said, hey, when you get appointed to this position, you have my permission to skip our birthday dinner. So, and I really want to take the opportunity to, instead of talking all about me and all my expertise and things like that, I want you guys to be able to ask me the questions and let me answer and address your concerns. Transportation is a big thing for everybody, but that's not something that can be fixed overnight. There's lots of things that have to be taken into account. We spend $1.1 million in transportation on our buses and things like that. So I'll go ahead and end there, do lack of time, and open up for questions for you.
Commissioner Schwartz.
All right, I'd like to hit lead off. Okay. Ms. Bojani, we had a conversation last week.
Yes, we did.
Okay. Do you serve on any city boards?
Not on city boards, officially.
What does that mean?
So not on, so I have input and things like that and work with people on city boards, but I do not hold a position on city boards. I'm members of the Chamber of Commerce and things like that, part of Miami-Dade Police Chiefs Association.
Okay, I got it. Okay. You have government contracts in your line of work.
Yes,
Do you have any government contract with the city of Pembroke Pines?
I do not have an active contract with the city of Pembroke Pines. We do work with the fire department on a case-by-case basis.
Okay, let me ask it a better way. You've done business with the city of Pembroke Pines.
Absolutely, yes.
If you could, between now and the 15th, provide us a copy of the RFP, whatever it was.
Absolutely.
So that could be a part of the public record. Are there any renewals on that?
No, it's not a contract.
Not a contract,
Yeah,
it's a
no.
one-time deal?
Correct.
Okay. That's all I have.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Okay, thank you so much. You mentioned in your application that you were looking to facilitate growth and development. What are some of examples regarding those kinds of topics for the city?
So we have to help our businesses grow. Within the city, we have wonderful business owners and businesses that enter our cities. We just welcomed another Chick-fil-A into our city, which is wonderful. A lot of people we have to be able to facilitate businesses to grow and allow people to come and grow with that. Also doing our research, you can see we have big businesses like Waste Pro, FPI Security Services, Memorial Health, and all these individuals that are big businesses within our city, which is beautiful. And we have to work together with our community partners, with our citizens, and with our businesses to be able to excel in a means without overdevelopment, things like that, but keeping everything on the right track.
1 second. And you're qualified for the November 5th election?
Yes, ma'am.
correct? Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Mr. Bojani. I got to tell you, you got a really promising future ahead of you for what you possess today and the years ahead of you that you have to work with that. My hat's off to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here today, too. I'm going to ask the same question again. I've asked all the other folks. What would you do to understand the financial stability of the city?
Is to go through the proposed budget, meet with city officials, development heads, and things like that to understand their needs and actually understand what's on paper. I'm an accountant by trade, so numbers always tell a story to me. But you really have to understand what the individual working in that department, because I don't want to be a bean counter. That's a lot of, in government, I feel like that does prevent departments from excelling and doing a good job. So really to understand the departmental needs and things like that, that's what I would really want to go through to be able to adopt a budget.
I have no questions. Thank you very much. And that concludes our presentations for District 4 Commission. The hour is now 6:38.
Mayor, are we going to allow the public to ask questions of the candidates?
Yes, the hour is now 6:38. I will ask the public to please hold questions until May 15th so that we can begin our meeting.
Mayor, I object. I have every intention to follow what was advertised, which was a public interview process and the ability to answer questions.
Are you prepared to delay the beginning of the meeting?
I am prepared to take care of the people's business, and the people's business right now is the
I'm asking
priority of
you,
the
are you
district right now.
prepared to delay the beginning of the meeting?
I am prepared to delay the beginning of the meeting in order to allow the public to ask
Is there
questions.
consensus on that? We'll have 15 minutes of public comment. We'll start the meeting 15 minutes late. Please raise your hand and you can come forward. Please.
And Mayor, these are questions, not comments or support for a candidate.
Commissioner, you will not tell the public how to speak at the podium. Thank you.
At least I'll be.
You can state your name and your address for the record, please. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Norma
Can you
Sam.
just
Sorry,
turn that down?
my name is
Thank you.
Norma Samokishan, and I live at 201 Northwest,
Yes.
190th Avenue, Pembroke Pines. I have a very important question, and I think no one made to any of the candidates. And that is, we have sat through many, many of these meetings, several of us here, and we know that there's dynamics of different personalities on the commission. I would have liked to have had them explain how would they manage difficult conversations and gaining consensus among this commission.
The applications for the candidates are a public record, as are their email addresses and any other information that they provided. Residents are absolutely allowed to email the applicants and ask them additional questions if they wish. I myself spent about an hour with each candidate, talking to them at length, about an hour. And I know that Commissioner Schwartz spoke with, was it all of them?
It was with all of them
Okay.
for more than an hour in some
Oh,
cases.
good. So the other commissioners have the right to contact them as well, or not at all? That's up to them. But residents can certainly put forward questions directly to the applicants.
Okay, because I think it's important to have a good cohesive commission in order to get all the agenda items that we have to get that are important for the city.
I appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, if I may, ma'am, may I have your last name again, please? Could you repeat?
Anyone else want to speak? Gloria? Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Gloria Pierce. I live at 13055 Southwest 15th Court, and that's in Pembroke Pines. I live in District 4, Century Village. And so my question is, because I didn't hear all the interviews here, I came in, I didn't realize it was starting as early as it was. My concern is that Century Village is probably the largest part of District 4. And there are a lot of seniors that go all the way up to almost 100 in age, and of a variety of ethnicities. But seniors are a special need. And I was wondering if any of the candidates spoke about how they would deal with seniors, because I know that some of them are in a lot of need for help, and they reach out to their commissioner a lot. And I just wondered how you're planning to look at the candidates in terms of how they would deal with a senior community.
Just about every applicant mentioned that issue.
They might have mentioned the word Century Village, but I didn't hear anybody specifically talk about.
I know that you missed some of the
Yeah, I did.
presentations, but just about every candidate brought up the issue of
Okay.
the importance of seniors.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else wish to speak? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marcia Samuels, and I am a former resident of this lovely city, which I'm going to return to because I just love it so much. I live in Delray Beach, 244 Brittany F, Delray Beach, Florida, 33446.
Welcome.
Thank you. I know a few, Mr. Dodge, you, okay. My question to all the candidates is, do you really know what being a commissioner entails? Do you know that you are going to be having vociferous discussions with your fellow commissioners who may not be on the same page as you? You're going to attend boring meetings. You have to abide by the Florida Sunshine Law. It's nice to want to be a commissioner, to be in the public forum, but you have to be ready to serve the people. Do they really know what it entails? Thank you.
I can tell you, and they will nod their heads, that much of the conversations I had with them was exactly about that.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes, you will be our last speaker, and and then we will begin our city commission meeting.
Good afternoon.
Name and address for the record, please.
To the board. My name is Ulysses out in Sevilla. And although I may not look it, but I do live in Century Village as well.
You don't look it.
So does my mom. And although there are issues in Century Village, and I do agree with who just left that there's a lot, it's probably the most populated area in District 4, and with a lot of seniors. So I do see what Pembroke Pines is doing as of now. There may be issues, there may be things that we could probably bring to the table. But I also want to go ahead and commend, because I see the police department, Pembroke Pines Police Department, practically every day there, whether it's at the front gate or catching people speeding and taking stop signs. Yeah, they do that. I don't know what's the rush. Everybody's retired. So I am part of the community. I part of the Pembroke Pines CERT team. And those of you that don't know what that is the Community Emergency Response Team. We assist the Pembroke Pines Police Department and the Fire Department in mobilization of any natural disaster, hurricanes, or anything that they may need our assistance on. We are first responders. We are certified CPR, how to do tourniquets. So we have gone through training, and that's why we have a certificate. I'm also a police chaplain. We do we go preach the gospel to prisons, and I'm part. We go to the Miami Rescue Mission that's been here located for quite some time. They have one in Hollywood, Miami, all over the place. And we go and assist also. So I'm part of the leader in our community church here in Pembroke Pines. So I've been living in Pembroke Pines since 2008. I've also been a long-time resident. And I don't know if it's too late, but I'd like to throw my hat into the commission seat for District 4.
It's a little late.
But there's always the next time, right? So I want to commend Pembroke Pines, the city of
Well,
Pembroke
there's a
Pines.
qualifying period that might open. So
Yeah,
you
the
may have a
qualified
shot.
period might open.
Excuse me, sir?
A qualifying period may reopen, at which point, if you want to run for the seat.
Would that be posted?
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Very good. Well, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Thank you. We will recess the meeting for 5 minutes. Okay, if everyone would be seated, please. If everyone would be seated, please. We have to start the meeting. Yes. Yes. Jay, and she's got an announcement too after the pledge. Okay, welcome all to the Pembroke Pines City Commission meeting of May 1st, 2024. We have a roll call, please.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Here.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Here.
Vice Mayor Good,
I am here.
Mayor Castillo,
Here.
City Manager Dodge,
Here.
City Attorney Gorin.
I'm here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Jamie Danger, the former Lady Pines for 2015. She will lead us in the pledge, and then she will sing the national anthem.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
Oh, and you see my daughter light, what shall proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam, whose voice and bright stars to bear on the fight, for the rampart we watch were so gallantly streamed, and the rugged bursting in air gave proof in the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land free and the home of the brave.
Well done. Well done. Commissioner Rodriguez, you're recognized.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. I just wanted to make a quick announcement regarding Broward County Public Schools. There are community conversations regarding the repurposing of schools going on at the moment. I just wanted to make the announcement that for our area, including Everglades, Flanagan, and the West Broward zone, there's going to be a meeting on Tuesday, May 7th at 6 p.m. at Flanagan High School. The doors will actually open at 5:30 and no bags are allowed, so leave your clutches, purses in the car. They're going to be talking about what repurposing means for our schools because some of our schools here in Pembroke Pines are under-enrolled. So it's really important and very crucial for each and every one of you to voice your opinion, especially if you have kids in schools. And even if you don't, these school closures, or not school closures, but repurposing of schools do affect your tax bills. So make sure that you voice your opinions, you come out. So that is the next meeting is May 7th. After that, there's actually going to have, the school board is going to get together for a workshop to have a discussion on this topic as well on May 14th at 5 p.m. at Plantation High School. Though that's where the board members will be allowed to discuss the proposal and give staff feedback. So then again, you will have the opportunity to voice your opinions on that. So just as a reminder, May 7th is coming up and those meetings start at 6 p.m. For more information, please go to browardschools.com/redefining. The information available is in a multitude of languages. And if you have any other further questions, I can, reach out to me. I can help you find more information. Thank you so much.
Commissioner, the meeting on the 7th at 6 o'clock is where?
Flanagan High School.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Schwartz.
Thank you, Mayor. it's with a heavy heart that I publicly announced the loss of Principal Sean Chance's mother. A wonderful woman. I had some time to spend with her. And if we can have a moment of silence for the Chance family during this difficult time. Thank you.
Likewise, we lost a teacher from the Pembroke Pines Charter Schools who retired in 2018. Nancy Laffin passed away, and anyone who knew her knows how much she loved children and how much her career in education meant to her. Gone way too soon. Nancy Laffin. Just a second of silence, please. Thank you very, very much. Announcement of items to be pulled from the agenda?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
item number 14 is being removed as a result of a protest to that item.
Item 14 will be removed from the agenda. Presentations? Paper with the yellow. Here's the notes. Thank you very much. Second page. Thank you. Like this.
Oh, here.
Here.
Thank you very much.
Read it to you.
Thank you. Okay. Our first presentation is a proclamation to Michael and Carol Hilton and Dennis Hines, recognizing May as Stroke Awareness and Smiley's Voice Foundation Month in the city of Pembroke Pines. Are they present? If you could please come forward, please. This is a proclamation in the city of Pembroke Pines, Stroke Awareness Smiley's Voice Foundation Month, whereas Smiley's Voice Foundation's mission is to increase stroke awareness and to help decrease the number of people who die yearly because of stroke by targeting young adults, and whereas strokes are the leading cause of long-term disability in every year, and more than 795,000 people in the United States have a stroke. Strokes are the fifth leading cause of death in the United States, killing approximately 137,000 people. And whereas someone has a stroke in the United States every 40 seconds, wow. And someone dies every 3.5 minutes from a stroke. African Americans are more impacted by strokes than any other racial group within the American population, and high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, obesity, smoking are all major risk factors that require prevention, management, and control. And whereas Smiley's Voice Foundation is increasing stroke awareness and prevention in populations identified as being high risk, providing resources to families, caring for young adults recovering from a stroke, supports groups to parents and siblings who have suffered a loss, and whereas in 2010, after losing their son, Michael Hilton Jr., also known as DJ Smiley's, Michael and Carol Hilton created Smiley's Voice Foundation to continue his legacy of love for humanity while making a difference in the lives of many. Now, therefore, I, Angelo Castillo, Mayor of the City of Pembroke Pines, along with the City Commission, do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Stroke Awareness Smiley's Voice Foundation Month in the City of Pembroke Pines, and it's my honor to present this to you.
Thank you. It truly has been a labor of love since 2010. As you stated, Mayor, we lost our son in 2009. And as a family, we got together and we said, what can we do to make a difference in our community? And 29 years old. So people came to us and they said, my God, a young person like that, could have a stroke? For years, many people thought that it was an old person's disease, but it was our reality. So at that point, we got together as family and friends, and we said, what can we do? So we formed a relationship with community organization, Memorial Healthcare System, physicians in our community, and they've been on this journey with us. Every month, every May, which is National Stroke Awareness Month, we have a major health fair. We do free cholesterol, blood pressure, pre-screenings. We go on the radio, we speak about stroke. Dr. Brijesh P. Mehta, the medical director for the Memorial Neuroscience Institute. He's been on board with us for many, many years. He comes on the radio with us. He supports our health fair. He spreads the word about stroke. In 2009, stroke was the third leading cause of death. It is now the fifth, as you just stated. Small organizations like ours have made some inroads, by spreading the word. So at that point, the thought process was to take the patient to the closest hospital. And through Dr. Brijesh P. Mehta and his mentoring and education to the emergency management systems throughout the entire Broward County, and I think Dade as well, they have come to the conclusion based on evidence that it's best to take that stroke patient to the most comprehensive stroke center. If it even takes 15 or 20 minutes more, so that they can get the appropriate care. So we're so thankful for all that we have done and the support that we've received in the community to really spread the word and increase the awareness and to impact lives one person at a time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much to you both. Okay. The next presentation will be to Jennifer Walsh in support of the Ride Like Mad 2024 initiative. Commissioner Rodriguez, would you join me?
No, I don't know how it got on there. Yeah. I guess I could have representation.
Thank you, guys. Proclamation Ride Like Mad 2024. Whereas Ride Like Mad 2024 is the third annual event dedicated to raising awareness and funds to eliminate drunk driving and support victims and their families. And whereas Ride Like Mad 2024 is a Mothers Against Drunk Driving initiative and is the only cycling challenge in Florida that works to end drunk driving in Florida. This year's Ride Like Mad 2024 is dedicated in loving memory of Jake Boykin, who inspired many with his words, don't skim your story. And whereas in 2024, there were 7,236 crashes involving a bike that resulted in 215 fatalities and 6,794 serious injuries in Florida, Ride Like Mad is not merely a cycling event, but a movement towards safer roads and communities, emphasizing the importance of collective action and combating impaired driving.
And Ride Like Mad invites participants of all ages, fitness levels, and from all locations, encouraging them to set their own goals, ride to make a difference. This year's Ride Like Mad event includes a virtual tour across the beautiful state of Florida, offering participants the opportunity to embark on a virtual journey through the scenic landscapes of different regions. And whereas Ride Like Mad 2024 in the city of Pembroke Pines would like to recognize Jessica Fine, owner of Cycle Bar in Pembroke Pines, for her hard work and generosity in supporting mothers against drunk driving. Now, therefore, I, Angelo Castillo, Mayor of the city of Pembroke Pines, do hereby proclaim our support for Ride Like Mad 2024 and urge all residents to join us in this meaningful event. Congratulations and best of luck.
Mayor, Commissioners, Vice Mayor. Before I drop this, sorry. Sure, thank you. I just wanted to say a few words and remind everyone that impaired driving is a 100% preventable crime. With your help, we can keep our community safe by never getting behind the wheel impaired. And thank you so much for this challenge. If anyone would like to join, visit mad.org/ridefl.
Thank you very much. For all you do. Stay with me. I want to do the West Broward. West Broward alum, right? She's a West Broward alum, so. This is a proclamation, the city of Pembroke Pines to the West Broward School Competitive Cheerleading Team, which has won the UCA National and World Championships at the ESPN Wide World of Sports in Orlando, Florida. Would you please all come up?
Those are some fun sounds.
Sound is better. Are you cheerleaders too?
Congrats, everyone. Whereas on February 11th, 2024, the West Broward High School competitive cheerleading team won the UCA National and World Championship at the ESPN Worldwide of Sports in Orlando, Florida. And whereas West Broward High School competitive cheerleading team won its first ever national and world champion title in the D1 co-ed non-tumbling division with 89 points. And whereas this marks the first national and world cheerleading title for Coach Danielle Culbertson, who has coached this team for 8 years, West Broward High School is now the only Broward County team to ever hold a national and world cheerleading title. And whereas the West Broward High School competition team is as follows: Alan Ascension, Annabella Mondelato, Ava Dominguez, Abigail Batista, Brandy Brocado, Brianna O'Connell, Camila Fuentes, Fior Watson, Ella Castillo, Emma Fernandez, Haley Sarmiento, Jasmine Bolanos, Kendall Zach, Lajani Garcia, Lexine Fenton, Melanie Zimmerman, Nyla Harper, Rema Cruz Chipman, Ariana Aguirre, Lundin, Shurikasin, Stephanie Eon. Whereas the West Broward High School's cheerleading coaches are as follows: Daniel Cumberson, Amber San Angelo, Carlos Echevarria, Corey Jackson.
Now, therefore, I, Angelo Castillo, Mayor of the city of Pembroke Pines, Florida, along with the city commission, do hereby commend and congratulate the West Pines High School competitive cheerleading team for their dedication and perseverance in achieving another championship season. Congratulations. Who's going to take it? Who's going to? You guys stand right here for the pictures. Commissioner. And Vice Mayor, if you could join me.
Yeah, she will join you.
You might want to come. Just the form.
Yeah, I have to see.
Good luck.
Oh, wait, so, yeah. You have Charlie. So we have a proclamation for you, Mr. Manager. So this is the National Cities, Towns, and Village Month. Whereas the National League of Cities was founded in 1924 in Lawrence, Kansas as the American Municipal Association by state municipal leagues seeking more coordination and national representation as cities, towns, and villages expanded rapidly. And whereas the nonpartisan National League of Cities is the oldest and largest organization representing municipal government throughout the United States, representing the interests of more than 19,000 cities, towns, and villages across the country. And whereas today the National League of Cities works in partnership with 49 state municipal leagues across the country to strengthen local leadership, drive innovation, and influence the federal policies that impact local programs and operations. Whereas the city of Pembroke Pines is a proud member of the National League of Cities and has benefited from the organization's research, technical expertise, federal advocacy, and opportunity to learn from other local governments.
Now therefore, I, Angelo Castillo, Mayor of the City of Pembroke Pines, at the request of Vice Mayor Thomas Good Jr., do hereby proclaim 2024 as National Cities, Towns, and Villages Month in celebration of America's local governments and the National League of Cities historic centennial anniversary. Mr. Dodge?
Thank you very much. The city has participated with the National League, and we're very proud of that. We will continue to do so.
Very much. Thank you very much. Commissioner Schwartz, will you join me, please?
Okay, the proclamation, City of Pembroke Pines, Jewish American Heritage Month. Whereas Jewish immigrants in America, ever since their first arrival to our shores in the 16th century, have played a central role in the creation, growth, freedom, prosperity, and strength of the United States of America. And whereas the biblical and contemporary history of Jewish people and the enduring values of the Jewish faith were vital sources of inspiration for the founding of the United States, the Civil Rights Movement, America's global leadership in the cause of freedom, Americans' commitment to social justice, and many of our country's most essential tenets. Whereas through core Jewish beliefs, such as the creation of man in the image of God, the infinite value of every human life, the need for a weekly Sabbath, and the importance of education in the lives of children, the Jewish community has helped to define America's character and values. And whereas following the rebirth of Zionism and the miraculous return of the Jewish people to the Jewish homeland, the United States was the first country in the world to recognize the state of Israel in 1948. And over the years has developed a deep friendship and unbreakable alliance with the state of Israel based upon shared values and mutual interest.
Now therefore, I, Angelo Castillo, Mayor of the City of Pembroke Pines, along with the City Commission, do hereby proclaim May 2024 as Jewish American Heritage Month in the City of Pembroke Pines and call upon citizens to commemorate this occasion by appropriately celebrating our Jewish community's history, heritage, and culture and contributions to our country.
Hi, I'm Cindy Eisen,
I'm Wayne Eisen.
and we are accepting this today on behalf of the Jewish Federation of Broward County. And we thank you, and we just want to wish for peace and bring them home.
Thank you very much.
Oh.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Commission. I am pleased to announce our District 4 Great Yard Award winner for April 2024. The Barroso family has a just tremendous yard. And let me show you a couple photos. Marlene, can you slide down to the next slide for me? I know you have it in your control. One more time. And there we have it. They have just a beautiful yard in District 4, and we are pleased, Mayor. So we're here to award you the certificate, Home Depot gift cards. You can keep planting more stuff in that graveyard. And Mayor and Commissioners, as you know, this project is done in conjunction with our Code Compliance Department. We work together to identify great yards throughout our community. Next month, we'll be back in District 1, working our way through the city. But as you can see, some of these yards are going to be really hard to compare with.
What a beautiful property. What's your secret?
My wife.
Isn't that all our? Let's take a photo.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, here you go.
Very much.
Items at the request of the public.
No items, Mayor.
Okay. Commissioner order report.
No auditor report, Mayor.
Appeals to the Board of Adjustment decisions.
None, Mayor.
Board appointment announcements. I have the following board appointments to make this evening. To the Art and Culture Board, I appoint Rose Colombo as a regular member. To the Diversity and Heritage Board, as regular members, I appoint Dennis Hines, Michael Hilton, and Irvin McKenzie. Mr. Hilton, you're here. Do you want to step forward? Say hello.
Good evening, Mayor and Vice Mayor, Commissioner, City Manager, and the lawyer, Secretary. I just want to say thanks for that opportunity. I've been a resident here in Pembroke Pines for 32 years, and I'm hope to do an excellent job with the city here.
That is a board very near and dear to my heart that needs to break through.
Yes, it's gonna happen. We're gonna start running as soon as we get together with the
I
advisory
appointed
board.
you and Dennis so that you can be the stirrer in the drink.
No, it's gonna happen, Mayor. We got that going. Thank you very much. All right.
Excellent group of people. I also like to appoint Savvy Matthew as an alternate. On the Economic Development Board, I appoint Susan Meister as a regular member. To the Board of Adjustment, I appoint Christopher Pitts. To the Education Advisory Board, I appoint Danielle Spradley. To the Environmental Advisory Board, I appoint Rosanna Cordova and Mary Honorata Stevens as regular members. To the Planning and Zoning Board, I appoint Linda Gonzalez, who is my appointee in District 4, and that will release that create a vacancy in District 4 for the next commissioner to fill. And as alternates, Saji Zacharias and Norman Taylor. Thank you very much. Consent agenda. Today consists of items 1 through 17. What's your pleasure?
5, please.
5 for Commissioner Schwartz. Any others?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah. 6 for Mr. Commissioner Good. Yes. Any others? Any for you? So I will entertain a motion on items 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 has been withdrawn, 15, 16, and 17.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Moved by the Vice Mayor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Rodriguez. Any discussion on the dais? Any from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Clerk will show that it passes unanimously. Commissioner Schwartz, item number 5.
Number 5, motion to approve the School Board Resource Officer SRO agreement between the City of Pembroke Pines and the School Board of Broward County for the 2023-24, 24-25, 25-26 school years.
Is there a second?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. The Vice Mayor seconds it. Commissioner Schwartz.
While I appreciate the agreement being in front of us, we are now in the month of May, and the school board has not paid us for this fiscal year, for the current school year, which puts them significantly in arrears without interest. Imagine that when you collect all those taxes November 1st, you don't have money to pay the actual cities that are providing services for things that you should be paying for in whole. What I don't understand is the formula, how the Broward County School Board comes up with to pay an SRO. Do they go and look at the least amount of salary across Broward County to appoint that number, to come up with a value so that the city of Pembroke Pines can pay $2.1 million to subsidize a county function? I'm not exactly sure if that's the best bargain in town. So I did have a conversation with the city manager, and what is not in the backup, and I'm going to ask for a deferral on this item. I want the Broward County School Board Superintendent to show us how the math works, what agency, the lowest common denominator they came up with. Because there are cities that have uniformed police officers for their municipality. There are others that use BSO. And certainly, we will never have anything other than a Pembroke Pines police officer in a Pembroke Pines school. You see, there's an item that we just passed. The charter schools like Somerset and Renaissance, they pay full Monte, no questions asked. They pull the full boat. But yet, the government-run Broward County School Board can't pay its bills. And I am tired of it. So I want to give them one more opportunity. I hear there's been some leadership changes downtown lately. I want to give them one more opportunity to figure out how they're going to make every city in this county whole. You know, back in December of 2013, Sandy Hook happened. And Chief Justino and I had a conversation that evening. I said, Chief, please call all the principals. Let them know that we're going to have security at all campuses. In the very next meeting, we took $168,000 out of our own general fund to ensure that SROs were in every single school in Pembroke Pines. This was 5 years before MSD. And even then, the school board says, you know what, we're not interested in reimbursing you 100%. So it is time. It is time. It's enough already. We have a Chiefs Association who meets. We have certainly a brand new superintendent. I invite him to the podium. But let's defer this. Let's give the manager an opportunity to collect more information. Let's bring it back on the 15th.
Before you make your motion, Commissioner, if you could, because once a motion for deferral is made, no one else can speak. I'd like to give, I have some things to say about this as well. Commissioner Rodriguez, did you want to speak on this item? No. Vice Mayor, did you want to speak on this item? We are a new commission, and I was hopeful that we could have a fourth here to have this conversation, because it's a very difficult conversation to have. And if you'll bear with me, because I actually agree with everything Commissioner Schwartz just said. I want to go back and set the tone for how this worked. So one day,
if you catch me on an off moment, I'll explain to you why. But Nick Navarro was a close family friend of mine. My mother and him knew each other going back to Cuba many, many years ago in the 40s. She actually helped raise him when his mother died. He was a little younger than she was. And because of that relationship, he and I became friends. It was Sheriff Nick Navarro who in the 1980s created the SRO program. And some of you may recall Carol Andrews, who was Judge Andrews' wife, who he hired in order to go from city to city to sort of sell the SRO program, which she did very, very successfully, including our city. And the reason that he believed in the SRO program was because at the time, South Florida was a drug hotspot. And Sheriff Navarro felt that young children in schools, if they could become close to, instead of afraid of police officers, would be a source of intelligence in their communities. Because they saw, at least at that time, it was fashionable for young people to play outdoors. I don't know what's happened there, but okay. They knew what was going on in their communities. They knew which houses were doing what. They knew which people lived where and what they were up to. And so it began as that. And city police forces, all of them in partnership to battle the proliferation of drugs in our community, joined in. Over the years, this morphed into a security detail. And for the longest time, the cities in Broward were actually providing the services for free. Now, bear in mind that in Miami-Dade and in Palm Beach, each have their own police force. Under the statute, school boards are allowed to have their own police agencies, and most of them do. And they take care of their own security. But here in Broward, because we had that history, it sort of evolved an expectation that every city, no matter who provides the law enforcement services, would end up being the SROs. And it wasn't until the recession around 2008, 2009, somewhere in there, that we first began going to the police force, to the school board and saying, look, we can't afford to do this anymore. You have to chip in. And I remember at first it started at Chief Justine around 10%. And then a couple of years later crept up to like 15, and then it was
40,
20,
like 40.
and then it got to 40, and now everybody like,
Said, oh, no, we
oh,
can't pay
wow.
40. Oh,
They're paying 40% of the cost. And then from there it went to 50.
yeah.
And now it's at Finance Director Chong, I believe it's now about 71% of the cost. We're eating about 29% of it or so. And I wasn't going to bring this up until we had a fifth commissioner, but this is now in front of us. And it's not the one-year contract that we usually sign. This is a 3-year contract. And over the 3 years, Mr. Dodge, correct me if I'm wrong, we are under contract, if we approve this, to provide some 7 million and change in services over 3 years. Is that about right? 7 million and change?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and they're going to provide us with about 5 million and change in reimbursement. Is that about right? So, right?
Yes, that's right.
So there will be a deficit of $2.1 million over 3 years. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Let me put this $2.1 million in context. $2.1 million is probably, well, it comes out to roughly $700,000 a year, which is what, Jay, 4 police officers?
At the highest quality, protecting the community, yes.
Okay. We are in desperate need of hiring additional police officers here in Pembroke Pines in response to the requests of residents citywide who want better protection, who also don't want their taxes raised. And I have to tell you that it's a very difficult step that we're being asked to take. Because on the one hand, we don't want to raise taxes. On the other hand, Every single one of us, in the last commission, in this commission, I believe in future commissions, 100% agrees. 100% agrees. We want police officers protecting our children in schools. There's no question about it. We're eager and happy to do it. And they do a hell of a job. They do a great job in those schools, keeping them safe. And we're so proud of them, and we'd like to see that continue. But the school board of Broward County has to pay their bills. It's just that simple. We can't continue to subsidize another taxing district for this amount. When we, as Commissioner Schwartz pointed out, when we do business for SROs with charter schools who receive a fraction of what the school board pays itself to run public schools, they pay the full amount. Yet we have an institutional discount. And here's the part that I don't get, because there's this assumption that because it involves the protection of children, if we should ask to be paid appropriately, we are somehow endangering the children. We don't want to endanger the children. We want to continue providing SRO services. We simply want to be paid for the service we provide. And when you think about it, the school board of Broward County has had what? 4 superintendents over the last 18 months?
That's more than 700,000 a year.
Okay. And yet, and recently they had a discussion, as I recall it, where they were thinking about going in their own, on their own way to create their own police department. And they decided not to do it. And they had every right to have the conversation and decide not to do it. But when you look at contracts like this, you sort of realize why they decided not to do it. I spoke to a school board member about this, and these were the answers that I got. Well, you have to remember that our schools are your schools too. And I said, well, I wish you had felt that way when we had issues with charter schools, because those were also your schools too. And for the vast majority of the 25 years that we've operated these top quality A schools, we did not get full compensation, though they had it within their discretion to help us. We produced A schools anyway. Here's a memo that I have preserved. Could you pass this down? That I have preserved in my phone because I just couldn't get over it. Mr. Dodge, I don't know if you recall this. This is a memo. I went to a school board member who's near and dear to us, and she was so incredibly helpful. And this was during the time that the crisis was hitting us the hardest with respect to morning traffic, the school morning traffic. And I wanted to do something of a survey to find out what was on the parents' minds, what flexibility they might have in terms of assisting us. And what I wanted to do was I wanted the schools in our area to hand out to each one of their students so that they could take it home a document asking parents questions and instructing them how to answer them so that we could collect the information here. And all they had to do was give it to the kid would take it home. We were printing all of the questionnaires. That was all there was to it. We will deliver it to the school. Please give it to your students. Ask them to take it home to the parents. The request was honored by our school board member, and this was the response that I got from the general counsel at the time. I have reviewed the information you forwarded regarding the City of Pembroke Pines proposed commission item concerning its effort to identify transportation providers that families living within a 2-mile radius of public schools could contract with to transport their students to school. The purpose of which would be to reduce the number of cars on the road transporting students to and from public schools. You've asked for an opinion from this office regarding what involvement, if any, the district should have in this effort. Now,
Pay attention to this because this involves you. Although the city's purpose is laudable, it is the opinion of this office that the school district should not be involved in this effort, placing the responsibility of surveying families that live within 2 miles of a school district regarding their interest in such a program and/or the distribution of materials regarding transportation providers would be time-consuming for school staff. Additionally, there are alternative avenues for the city to obtain the information they say they need. In addition, assisting the city in this endeavor would set a precedent, not just for Pembroke Pines, but for other cities. It would be difficult, if not impossible, for the district to deny other cities this assistance in the future. That is what is called partnership between cities and the school board in the past. Now, they've got new people there. There's a new superintendent. Every day is a new opportunity. But I have to tell you, Commissioner, I agree with you. I think that the people in Pembroke Pines would absolutely understand that we are 150% committed to having a police officer in every single school, and that we simply want to get paid so that we can continue to provide them with the police services that they also need throughout the rest of the city, which the school board will never pay for. And so I'm going to support your deferral. And if this board wishes to have a workshop on this to discuss the issue more clearly, if we want to invite the public to testify about the matter, we should do that. But this is a 3-year locked-in contract that calls for a whopping $2 million deficit for this city in the police budget. And I think it's high time that we had this conversation with the school board.
Mayor, I was going to leave this kind of out of it, but you know, our crossing guards, we pay for those in our city's budget to allow kids to cross the street safely. The school board provides us zero assistance, zero financial assistance.
And yet there are so many things that we can partner with them on and that we would be willing to partner with them on. But I think that I don't want to look back at how this commission dealt with this in the past. But we're a new city commission. We will become even more diverse once we have an additional, I don't mean diverse in that sense, I mean diverse in terms of our thinking. When we have a 5th commissioner, but this is a problem to be locked into this for 3 years. And I think that we need to have a healthy conversation. I know that the police chiefs met about this, and I know that the League of Cities also had discussions about this matter. However, they are not our appointed agents for the purpose of negotiating this contract. And I also understand that the school district, which interestingly writes this contract, if anyone should write this contract, it should be the police department. They write this contract, they approved it before they sent it to us because it's theirs. And so our choice is to take it or not to take it. I don't know that I'm at the point where I can take it or not take it, but I'm at the point where I want to discuss this some more, and I want to open up a conversation with them. All I'm looking for is to break even on our costs. I'm not looking to make any money. And by the way, not in the contract are the enormous costs that our police department has to pick up every time some kid writes some stupid Facebook or social media post, and he's got to pull officers off the street, leaving our streets unpatrolled for a while to send them to that school, all hands on deck. And you know what? You're doing the right thing every single time you do it. That's not part of this. Recently, the police captain from the Chicago Police Department retired in Grand Palms, and I got to meet him. In Chicago, they have a very different operation.
In Chicago, the police department generates a contract, which the school superintendent there signs. And it calls for not just full cost reimbursement, but a true-up in the end of the year to cover that cost. I'm not even asking for that cost, which increasingly is a burden on the police department. I'm just asking to break even with the salaries and equipment, the total package that we devote in schools. And I don't think that that's too much to ask. Additionally, as I read through the contract, there is a section there that I'd like to point to your attention. And that's section, hold on one second, I'll find it. Yeah, it's on page 19 of 23 of the contract, section 3.13. Madam Clerk, if you could bring that up. 3.13 on page 19 of 23 of the contract, which I read carefully. And it talks about conflict resolution. And the way to deal with conflict resolution is for all parties concerned to get together and resolve. So what we're asking for is actually in conformance with that contract. But Sam, if you can help me, I'm looking for the section that talks about where police officers shall promptly report any facilities deficiencies in the school. Can you? It's 2.04C. Can I ask you to take a look at 2.04C, commissioners? Pull it up. 2.03.
I have it.
Page 7. 2.043. Let me read. An SRO shall not function as school disciplinarian, blah, 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 on and on and on. What's the section, Mike? C. Upon learning of any potential threat that affects the safety and security of the schools, SROs shall, as soon as practicable, promptly notify the applicable participating school administration of the situation so protective measures can be implemented by the school board of Broward County. Now, I have spoken to numerous police officers, and one of them told me there was a hole in the fence. Noticed it one morning. Somebody cut, I don't know, they cut a hole in the fence. That hole in that fence was there for well over a week. Went back, it was promptly reported, that hole in the fence was not fixed. So I asked our attorneys, well, if we have to promptly report it, can't we say that the administration of the participating schools administration shall promptly fix it? And they said, I doubt they'd accept that language. I need them to tell that to my face. Because when there's a CCTV that's down, when there's a hole in the fence, when there's a security problem, I want somebody at that school board to get some sort of red alert and get somebody in a truck and fix it that day. And they have enough staff to do that. They have an excellent facilities team. But a problem like that can't go on for a week. Just can't. Because let me tell you what's going to happen. Heaven forbid we ever have an incident like the one I won't, that can't be mentioned. I hate to do this to you, Chief. The first thing they're going to do is they're going to point at you. And then they're going to point at us. Because we've seen that before. And we're not even getting paid. And that'll be troublesome enough. Thank God we have Pembroke Pines police guarding our schools, keeping that from happening. We're going to get somebody going through a hole in the fence because it didn't get fixed on time. I have lots of problems with this. Here's what I don't have the problem with. I don't have a problem with police. In fact, I love the idea. I want to continue doing it forever of having police officers in schools. But we must have some sort of reciprocation when it comes to the seriousness we apply to this matter. It has to be reciprocated. And job one in getting this all important thing done is getting paid. And we're not even getting that. So Commissioner, I'm going to support your motion. And if anyone else wants to speak before you make it, I'm going to allow them to do it. And again, I want to apologize. This was better handled if there were 5 of us, but it's foisted on us now by the timing of the contract. This is a 3-year contract. We're talking about $2 million. That is an enormous number for us, and the police department needs that money to keep us safer. So thank you.
Can I just have a question? Can we get clarification on who negotiated that contract?
Mayor?
Yes.
It was a combination of the Broward League, the Police Chiefs Association, and the City Managers Association. The formula for how they arrived at it, I do not have that answer, but that's something I would pursue based on your conversation.
But this is what I do know. I know that when the city of Pembroke Pines sits at the table and we're outnumbered, those cities just vote the way that in their best interest. And so we're always going to be in the hole. That's the problem. Because I want us to be the city that pays our first responders the best in Broward County. Therefore, we'll always be behind. We'll always run at a deficit if we allow the Broward League of Cities to negotiate what's best for our city. Number 2, the passion that you're hearing, Commissioner Rodriguez, goes back 10 years.
More.
When we were mandated for security enhancements for our charter school, or we were going to get our charter pulled. So we have done everything and gone above and beyond at 65 cents on the dollar. With inflation, it might even be less at this point. So the mayor's passion, certainly my viewpoint, we are in lockstep when it comes to this situation, because the school board has no issues running air conditioning when it's 58 degrees outside. There is so much fundamental waste downtown at that administrative building. And as you're aware, there's millions of dollars that are now owed to the city of Pembroke Pines. But they want a payment plan. I don't understand. The money was there. It was collected. It was given to them. Where to go? So I'm looking forward to seeing some new vision and the upcoming town halls by the school board. I'm confident in City Manager Dodge and his ability to make a phone call and say, listen, if the charter schools in Pembroke Pines can make us whole, so can you. I don't need the Broward League of Cities to negotiate that for us. That's our job.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
We, in researching the question that was asked on this evening on this item, we did reach out to a few other municipalities, and those municipalities did not do the same computation that we did. So they may not even be aware if they are subsidizing or not subsidizing. And you have to remember, every city has a different number of schools. There are some communities that don't have one school in it, yet those children go to public school and there's no impact to them. So that certainly, I will reach out to the superintendent and we'll bring it back to you. You're deferring it, not to a time certain, but I don't know how long this will take.
Before we agree on, let's hear from everyone.
I just had a question regarding, and maybe that's what you guys were already looking into, what other cities, if any, are also subsidizing, and kind of what the breakdown of that would be.
As I said, I don't believe they did the calculations as we have.
They wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
They may not have made that determination. They just agreed to what was agreed to by an agreement that supposedly was blessed by everyone. And some cities have already signed it, and there are others that are still considering it.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Schwartz, do you have anything on this?
No, I actually agree with you, Mr. Mayor, that we need to take charge of the conversation.
Okay. Let's talk about how to put the issue at issue here. So there's a range of actions that we can take at this point, being in general agreement that we're not happy with this. Certainly none of them include moving the contract forward with approval tonight. We could hold a workshop where we discuss more about how we want to handle this. It is definitely a sensitive issue. We could send the Broward County School Board a letter asking for a meeting pursuant to the contract because we have a conflict. Typically, a meeting like that would be attended by the mayor, the city manager, the city attorney, and the police chief and their counterparts, explaining the position of the city. But ultimately, a renegotiation with them will not be, shouldn't even be attempted unless we're prepared to back it up. And that's why I think we should put a little bit of time between now and the making of that decision, because that is a very hard decision. You got to remember that we have put cities in Broward County have put ourselves into a position where we're being held hostage to the understandably emotional concerns of our residents who want their children protected. And what they will try to portray it as is that we're only interested in the money and not in protecting kids, which is false beyond any possible recognition. When in fact, they would be the mover in that decision. It would be because of money. Only money could keep us from doing the job that we want to do. But I think that maybe we should think this thing through a little bit more on our own time. Talk to residents about it if you wish, and maybe pick this conversation up, Commissioner Schwartz. I don't want to do your motion, but pick this conversation up on the 15th. By that time, there'll be 5 of us, and we'll be in a better position to create some new policy. As you all know, this was not a conversation that would have been welcomed a couple of months ago, and I say that with a great deal of respect to the prior commission. But this is a new commission now, and so I think it's time for us to have that. I think it's time for us to have this conversation and for us to set what our policy is going to be going forward. So those are my final thoughts, and I'll turn it over to you for your motion.
Thank you. With respect to the viewpoint, 60% of last commission is sitting here now, and I would have welcomed the conversation then. As a matter of fact, I believe see, the school board's bringing this now, it's May. It's like at the end of the year. They know what they were doing. They didn't bring this to us in August. They put it at the end.
Yeah.
They knew what they were doing.
Yep.
So if they brought it to us a year ago, it would have been the same conversation. I don't want to give the public any any concern that four of us up here can't tell the school board or the supervisor of election to do their job. We did it once. We were already suing him. So, honestly, I mean, to have the conversation about a fifth is it's a stretch. I will tell you. I would tell you that the fundamental dysfunction of a school board doesn't allow real negotiations to happen. Because as you said, they say, here it is, and that's all we're going to do about that. Why? Because they can. Because they're holding school safety and protecting kids over our head. So, you know what? We have reserves. That's what they don't understand. We actually have money in the bank. They may not. So we can carry this through, right? If they say, you know, we're not even going to fund anybody, we'll still do that. We've already done that. We did that for Sandy Hook. We took money out of our general fund to do that. I remember when I reached out to Ann Murray, I said, look, I said 1/3 of the children that I represent are in Hollywood. We need police officers. She says, no, we need counselors. This was in 2013. 5 years later, MSD. This is how it gets fixed. It fundamentally gets fixed by the governor calling a special session to go, you know what? I want to actually be serious about protecting kids and MSD and require school boards statewide to fully fund police officers. That's how it gets fixed. Otherwise, we're just going to go back and forth and maybe negotiate a 90% settlement, to be honest with you. If we're at 79, if we get another 10 points, I'm not giving away what I'm going to do. I love to see 100%. But you know what? I woke up this morning and I knew it was going to rain. So I know what the reality is going to be. Okay. The school board does not have the capacity to pay their bills. They collect the money. I don't know where the money goes, but they don't have the capacity to pay their bills. So if I'm open to a deferral to continue the discussion with a caveat of requesting that City Manager Dodge reach out to Superintendent Hepburn. I don't want to hear from anybody else other than the superintendent. I don't want to hear from staff. I want to hear from the superintendent of what his plans are to fund SROs, percentage-wise, countywide.
So he's not going to be able to do anything without his board.
But he has the vision. Do you know, here's what's funny, not funny, that was wrong. Here's what's interesting about this whole school closure thing. While they are the policymakers, it's downtown that makes all the decisions. And so they have regional, I'll just call them regional or district managers that oversee the principals. Okay, and they pay the visits. So when things roll out like magnet programs, the principals aren't asked, they're told this is the way it's going to be. So you'll have a 4 and a 5 rated student. So now you have a magnet school that's going to suck all the 4s and 5s, the high achievers out of that high school, right? And what do they have left? The county's already done that. They've done this. So this new wrapped fish that they're putting out isn't anything new. They have tried this before. I am thankful that the conversations that I've had with City Manager Dodge and I've had with school board folks going all the way back to December, that they agreed to leave Pembroke Pines alone because we were facing closure back in December. I was told it's a done deal. It's closing. Now it's not. So we moved it. I don't know if the 15th is, I'd like to have a conversation, but I'd like to get more of a report back from the manager, give him a couple weeks to figure out who we need to talk to get an answer. But right now, at 79%, 2.1 million, 3-year contract. It's just not attainable to me.
Mr. Manager, and/or Mr. Attorney, how do you recommend that we proceed? We seem to have a consensus here that there's a problem. How would you recommend that we proceed with this?
Well, my recommendation is I believe we would need a little bit more time because we can ask the question. We may not get the answer in a timely manner by the 15th.
Fair. So would you be supportive of as a first step, the deferral until May 15th?
First week of June?
We can defer to talk, but I don't believe I may not have any answers by that time from the school.
Why don't we defer it to May 15th and then we can take additional actions then? Rather than not being able to address it at all in May. And would you be disposed?
And not looking out for the kids, right? I agree.
Mr.
Yeah, we
Mayor.
can put it on the 15th and we can put it on the next meeting.
And then we could, and then we can decide from there how best to handle this.
Yeah.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Mayor. So I'm in support of the deferral, but I also, again, just want to speak up a little bit more because I don't want to get into the item that I have, but it's sort of a related element. And it's been sort of discussed here. And, my interest is to have the face-to-face to be a direct involvement. I don't want to delegate that to anybody else. Get us information, yes, but I want to be in that room having that conversation. And you all will do a very good job for us, I'm certain. But one of the things in also supporting the deferral and in support of having some sort of meeting, whether it's a workshop where they have their representation and we have that conversation. Before the 15th, I'd like to, I'm just kind of like thinking out a little bit of the process of what's happening right now. And one of the things that's clear to me is that, we very well may ignite a very interesting conversation amongst other cities as well.
Yeah.
And right now, I am believing that probably there are many cities that may have already actually entered into this contract. And
Of course.
and so for some, it may be very difficult for them to even maybe participate. Maybe they will. But if we were stuck with a situation where we had to do a 1-year contract, not a 3-year contract, because again, this is end year monies, this, that, and the other.
Right.
It does provide a relief. What is the school district's response to us wanting a 1-year and not a 3-year?
I don't know.
And how hard would that question be when we come back on the 15th to have conversation, just to at least have that knowledge about
Mr.
entering
Dodge,
the 1 year?
can you tell them that we're having concerns about a 3-year contract at this juncture and that we'd rather have a 1-year contract with them at full cost?
I can have that conversation with the superintendent.
Okay.
And Mr. Mayor, if I may just kind of clarify it more, not presenting it as an absolute what we'd want to do, but just as a possibility of it, because we may not want to enter this at all and take a totally different route. I don't want us to be misleading and saying we don't want a 3, we want a 1, and sort of like a negotiating situation.
You know what?
But we can make that decision.
It's an agreement that's allowing our police officers to be on their property. Come on. I mean, that's what it comes down to, right?
Yeah.
I mean, somehow we have to ask permission to be in their building. That's what this agreement is. A month ago when I put my hand up, I said that I asked for a school board meeting to actually be held tonight, the first week of May. So, I mean, I welcome elected official to elected official conversation. I think it'll be fantastic to do that. But I also think that it's time, because City Manager Dodge was making some progress with Licata, and then all that stuff happened. So now we have Superintendent Hepburn. So I don't think we can wait anymore. We certainly can't enter a 3-year contract if they can't keep a superintendent for 3 weeks. So I don't know, honestly, I don't know if Superintendent Hepburn is going to be hired as the full-time individual or in the interim. His contract hasn't even been ratified yet. I don't know if they're going to go out for a search. I mean, this is like a moving target right now.
Well, why don't we agree to put it on the 15th? The city manager's got some direction in terms of at least putting it on their radar that we have serious questions about this matter, and let them have a conversation, and we'll learn more about it before the 15th, I'm sure, and we'll have a chance to talk about it more then. And I'm sure that there will be people in the community that will be asking questions, and my answer is going to be 100% clear. I am 1,000% in favor of having our police officers continue to do the great work they do in all of our public schools, but the school board has to pay for it. That's it. We can't afford to subsidize them anymore. So a motion's been made for deferral until the 15th.
Till 15 based
Is
on
there
the
a second?
conversation had.
Second.
A second by Commissioner Rodriguez. Any further discussion? Any from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Commissioner Good, we're on item number 6. Thank you very much for that discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 6 is motion to approve an agreement with Florida Technical Consultants LLC to provide geographic information system services on an as-needed basis, utilizing pricing established by the Town of Jupiter Island South Martin Regional Utility, SMRU, RFQ number 2023-02, in an annual amount not to exceed $200,000 pursuant to Section 31.18(c) Paren 5 of the City Code of Ordinance.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Second by Commissioner Rodriguez. Vice Mayor, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So maybe if we could just start with just explaining what is this GIS service for by staff?
Yes, Mike Bailey, Utilities Director, and the GIS services to maintain and improve and provide services needed for a geographical information system, particularly for the utilities department.
So what is GIS? What does it do again?
Geographical information system, it records it's basically a record of our assets. Utilities department, as you know, has hundreds of thousands of assets. They need to be, we need to know where they are and different attributes about them, how old they are, what material, what diameter, all that information. When was it last repaired or replaced? Is it lined? Is it, et cetera?
And do we already have records of those assets?
We have as-built drawings. The information that's, yeah, we do have that information. It's on paper. It's all being converted, it's all mostly been converted to GIS format.
Okay. So essentially GIS then is just taking one form of records that we have and just converting it into another form where maybe we can use it a little bit more efficiently.
Correct, and it's it doesn't get lost. Everybody
Okay.
knows where it is. It's one database and not numerous as-built prints in numerous work.
Okay. And in order to do this GIS work, you need some technicians. And in the response that was given, it was that we currently have staffing for GIS work. So we have GIS technicians doing this work already that are employed by the city either through, well, I think you identified it as FTC staff.
I think I said FCS.
Oh, FCS, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong. FCS.
But yeah, we have one technician that started about a year ago, and we have a second lead technician that started about 2 months ago.
Okay, so we already have the staff, and this is just converting one form of records into another form of records. So what would be the urgency to incorporate a subcontractor to do that work for us?
Well, so we've had the subcontractor for a few years when we didn't have any staff. So we're transitioning now. I would not say that the new staff that we have, the city staff, they're not prepared, they're not ready to do everything that this contractor does for us. They can do some of it, and we're transitioning so that they can do more of it, with ultimately the goal that we'll do it all in-house and only use FTC when they have, when the task needed, maybe the in-house staff doesn't have the experience to do, because it's a very experienced firm.
So there are other GIS positions that are not utilities as well? Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Is there a reason, Mr. Manager, why all these technicians aren't under a singular umbrella so that way you would have a diversity of experience and talent?
Well, this is a new process for the city because we've in the past have contracted out, and we have begun hiring GIS technicians to do the work, and that is throughout the system. I'm sure our IT director might be able to shed some light on that as well.
Bless you. Matt Kefford, IT Director. So currently, as Mr. Bailey mentioned, there are 3 GIS positions on everything but utilities. There's kind of twofold. Obviously, there's enough work on the non-utility side for these 3 individuals. It's also a specialty for GIS on the utility side. So it's just a matter of finding, the people, which, as Mr. Bailey pointed out, we got one last year, and we hired a senior one this March. So they technically are under one umbrella. We do have a GIS manager in the city. So they all do report to that individual. It's just a matter of their workload is some are dedicated to utilities and some are dedicated to everything non-utilities.
How long has that GIS manager been here?
I would say less than 18 months.
So I am still aware of the fact that we have staff. The fact that we're looking at encumbering at $200,000, because then there is a reference, well, we might not need them, but we want to hold the $200,000. I don't recognize any kind of urgency in terms of having this service, because it's just recording one form of record to another form of record. So we've not lost anything. All it is that we are just delaying if there's a little bit more time for training for somebody to convert that data from one format to another. So I personally would rather see us spending the money that we want to encumber to maybe enhance the salaries of these people. If that's the situation, that you're not hiring qualified people because you don't, well, they're qualified, otherwise you wouldn't hire them. But, more experienced people, probably looking for a higher salary. So maybe that's something, Mr. Manager, that we could be looking at rather than sitting there holding an encumbrance of $200,000. Because I get very sensitive when you hold money like this in the utilities account, particularly because that becomes a factor in determining what the rates are going to be. And so when you encumber money, that becomes a budget item that requires a funding, which requires a source of funding, which typically means an increase in rates. And so I cannot get to the point of supporting this, and certainly not $200,000 level. I really don't see any reason to support this at all if we already have sufficient staff. to do this.
Commissioner, if I may, Mayor, Vice Mayor, sorry. If I may, we don't have sufficient staff to do what we need to do now. Particularly, for example, for a technical consultant is pivotal right now for us complying with the lead and copper rule, because we have to do a service line inventory. They're the only ones, the folks that we have now don't know how to do that yet. They might be able to learn it, but we have deliverables that we have to do by October of this year. So I would, if we want to talk about reducing the encumbrance, I can certainly, I'd be happy to talk about that, but I would hate to see them not be available to us.
Vice Mayor, may I interject just for a second? Mr. Bailey, is passage of this evening of the essence? Can this be deferred until the next meeting, allowing you and the Vice Mayor to go over his concerns and see where we stand on the 15th? Is that possible? Or do we have to move it tonight?
No, we do not have to move it today.
Vice Mayor, would you be comfortable with a deferral so that your particular concerns can be addressed more thoroughly? Or
If that's what you wish, I'll defer it and I'll have conversation. I just don't know how much difference the conversation will be in regards to my understanding of this particular type of service.
Well, sir, it could be that rather than them convincing you, you might convince them. So I mean, I'm just wondering how.
So, Mr. Mayor, unless any of my colleagues want to speak, I'll make that motion for deferral.
Okay, there's a deferral of this item until the 15th. Is there a second?
Second.
And there's a second. This will be time certain, so there'll be no debate. Is that correct, Mr.?
That is correct, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show the motion passes unanimously. Vice Mayor, thank you as always for your review of that item. And thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Mayor, I just had a question for the Vice.
Yes, sir.
Vice Mayor, are you drawing your experience as former utility director of Miramar with respect to this item, or is it more of financial side of it?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, Commissioner?
I was asking the Vice Mayor if he's drawing his concerns based upon being a past utility director in the city of Miramar and Deerfield, or is it a financial concern?
It's based on my industry standard, industry understanding of that service, as well as the financial impact to the city based on what we need.
All right, so I look forward to seeing what the result is on the 15th. Yeah.
Thank you all. Okay, and that concludes, I believe, the consent agenda. And now, City Attorney, we're on item number 18, second reading ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor and Commission. If you will, this is a motion to adopt proposed ordinance number 2024-05 on second and final reading. It is an ordinance of the City Commission, City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, amending ordinance number 2017, which was adopted on February 7, 2024, regarding the special election to be held on November 5, 2024, to fill the vacancy in the District 4 Commission seat, amending the qualifying period to add an additional period for qualifying, confirming the qualified status of previously qualified candidates, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and finally providing for an effective date. Item number 18 on the floor, Mr. Mayor and Commission, and open for public hearing when appropriate. Thank you, Mayor.
Would anyone like to move that item? I'll move it. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Any discussion on this item on second reading?
For the public or for us?
Well, we start with us.
Okay. Yeah, I'll weigh in. So we heard from 5 residents today. And 80% of them are considering or have already decided whether or not they're going to participate in this extension, in this qualifying period. Vice Mayor Good has been clear as a bell that the appointment can't be somebody who is running for office.
Commissioner, that's not part of this motion.
It's, okay.
This motion is about an ordinance to reopen that.
I
that allows
understand.
re-
It's a
Let's-
background question. So because things were taking, we had, I don't know if it was 18 or 20 or 20 and 18 out of order, the order that we did it 2 weeks ago. Now we're here. We just had public interviews. We have 2 weeks of public interaction. I think it might be best for us to defer this until the 15th.
Why?
Because we will have a selection at that point.
And?
A little bit more clarity.
What we do on an interim basis.
You may not agree
What we
with
do-
my
No, sir.
my
What we
view.
do on an interim commission basis has no bearing on this, on this ordinance. This is an ordinance to reopen, qualifying for the November election. It has nothing whatsoever to do with the interim commission. Any other questions? Any from the public? The clerk will call the roll.
Mayor Castillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
No.
For the
Okay.
record, for the record,
By your
Mr. Mayor,
motion, this is passed, this is a law, and I'll sign it tomorrow.
for the record, Mr. Mayor and Commission, the permit number is 2020. That happens to be the number
Thank
on
you
the
very
record,
much.
and that will be signable tomorrow by the mayor and others.
2020 is the number, and it was a great year.
Thank you.
First reading ordinances.
May I read, Mr. Mayor?
Please do.
Thank you. Item number 19 is a motion to pass proposed ordinance number 2024-06 on first reading, which is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, pertaining to the subject of zoning and land development, amending Chapter 155 of the City of Pembroke Pines Code of Ordinances to update provisions and use tables, correcting Scrivener's errors and improving the clarity of the chapter, providing for conflict, providing for separability, providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. Item number 19 on the floor for consideration. Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
City
Mayor.
Manager.
Thank you, Mayor.
So
Is there a
moved.
motion?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion by Commissioner Schwartz, which has been seconded by the Vice Mayor. Is there any discussion on the dais? Being none, any in the public? Being none, the clerk will call the roll.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Good,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Mayor Castillo,
Yes, and by your vote, this item is passed on first reading. City Attorney, when will it come back to us?
For the mayor and public record, the meeting, the second and final reading will be in these chambers tentatively on June the 18th as a full public hearing as required by Chapter 166.
And we'll all look forward to that. Resolutions,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. If I may read.
please do.
Number 20 is a motion to adopt proposed resolution number 2024-R-13, which is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, urging the Solid Waste and Recyclable Materials Processing Authority of Broward County, Florida, better known as the Authority, to formally reject additional incineration facilities as an option for solid waste disposal and recycling processing in Broward County, Florida, to confirm that it will not consider expanding existing incinerators or constructing new incinerators for solid waste disposal and recycling processing, and to expressly prohibit such in the authority's master plan and facilities amendment. Further encouraging the authority to consider alternative methods of solid waste disposal and recycling processing that promote environmentally responsible and effective solid waste disposal and recycling reprocessing, providing for distribution, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and finally, for the purpose of the record, providing for an effective
So
date.
moved.
Thank you, Mayor.
It's moved by Commissioner Schwartz. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded by Commissioner Rodriguez. I think that we all feel very comfortable with this language, and I think it's probably one of your better written resolutions, if I might say.
Thank you, Mr.
And
Spiller, as well. Thank you.
for the good of the whole, I want you to know that Miramar is tonight also considering the same resolution. And I appreciate their support, just as we have supported them in so many ways. Any further discussion on this resolution? Any from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Item 21.
The record, Mayor and Commission, the permanent number which will be affixed to the document for the widest distribution that the Mayor and Commission would support is number 3862.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
21.
21 for the record is actually an addendum item for Vice Mayor Good.
No,
I'm sorry?
no, 21 is.
That's a good one also.
I also enjoyed reading it.
Absolutely. Ready, and this is, if you will, number 21 for the record. I was on the wrong page. Forgive me, Mr. Mayor.
No
Proposed
problem.
resolution number 2024-R-14. I took the accolades and very took it to heart, but thank you. Is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Pembroke Pines, Florida, approving and authorizing the execution and recording of a declaration of a restrictive covenant prohibiting incinerators or ancillary uses on the properties located, for the record, at Southwest 54th Place, Southwest Ranches, Florida, 33332, and 220710, 20710 Southwest 54th Place, Southwest Ranches, Florida, 33332, with folio numbers 5039350101141, 5039350101150, and finally 5039351200010, and directing the appropriate city officials to take any and all action necessary to effectuate the intent of the resolution, providing for conflicts, relevant preservability,
So
and
moved.
providing for an effective date. Thank you.
That has been moved by Commissioner Schwartz. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
That'll be seconded by the Vice Mayor.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
when appropriate, I just want to comment briefly on the substance of the
would you
document.
please?
Yeah, this is the outgrowth of the public comment as well as the commission's discussion. This is the last resolution. As you may remember, the last meeting, the commission adopted unanimously a resolution directing the recording of a declaration of covenants that would not allow the property that is owned by the city in the city of Pembroke, owned by Pembroke Pines, but in Southwest Ranches. That was the 40-acre piece that was recorded today as a matter of reference. And it will not allow that restriction to be removed only by referendum of the people of Pembroke Pines.
And I want to note for the record that such is the confidence of our friend Ken Farkas that he's not even here today.
Yes. And the second issue, this document reflects the remaining 10 acres that were isolated by Mr. Manager as well as by Commissioner Schwartz as being remainders properties, which was almost 10 acres of land, which we checked after the meeting,
Yes,
7+ acres.
What are you talking about?
This item,
item 21.
It's 40 acres.
that was already done. That was the first.
That was the last
resolution.
time.
Last time.
No.
This is the second one, which is asked for by the commission. When approved by the commission, this too will be recorded in the public records with the same restriction, which is it cannot be removed without a vote of the referendum.
And we miss you, Mr. Farkas. Thank you very much for your inspiring suggestion. Any further discussion on this item?
Mr. Mayor, I just have a quick question on this.
Yes,
here.
sir. Mr. Vice Mayor.
So, I mean, what we're doing here is we're actually providing a substantial support as well to Southwest Ranches in restricting some of the uses that they too are concerned about. So do they get a copy of this resolution specifically?
They can. It's public record.
I mean, can we send it to them just so that they're aware?
I think we should
Yeah,
put one in an envelope
we
and
can
send it to
do, we
the
can do
Farkas.
so.
Can we do that?
Yes, we can.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
I'll leave an autograph it for him.
I'm sorry.
I'll even autograph it for him. Give him a copy of the resolution.
We'll get you the book for that. Yes, thank you, Mayor.
Any further discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Show passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank
For
you
the
very,
record,
very much.
permit number is 3863. Once you sign the document, we will then have you sign the declaration, which we'll record promptly thereafter.
I see no regular agenda. Do we have reports of the league representatives?
We have the installation this Saturday, and looking forward to bringing lots of reports in the future. And Mayor, I do have an item under old business when you are able to do that.
Yes, sir. I saw it. Okay. There are 4 of us, but I think there are 10 seats.
Our finance director will be joining us.
We have a full table, Mayor.
Yeah, let's make sure we do that. Okay. Is there anything else? Okay, reports to the city manager, city attorney.
I have no items, Mayor.
City attorney?
Nothing to report this evening, but thank you for the opportunity.
Wonderful. Commission items, I see none. New business. Is there any new business?
Addendum, Mr. Mayor.
I see old business. Is there any new
Now
business?
there's an addendum, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yes, Vice Mayor.
Vice Mayor Good.
Oh, Vice Mayor Good. I knew there was something. Please read.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Uh, Add one is a discussion and possible action to send written notifications to the school board expressing the city's concern about potential closures impacting the city and the lack of direct communication with the city commission and impacted communities to promptly request a city commission workshop in order to openly discuss the matter publicly once the school district publicly provides actual details of their future plans to close schools serving the city.
Here, P.S. Pay your bills. Is there anything more you want to discuss on that, or is that your motion?
No, I actually would like to
Yes, sir.
speak a little bit more to this item here, sir. So, when I had submitted this item, I had submitted a series of documentation as well to background what this concern is, and you have that in the backup. But I also provided tonight, and you all should have a copy, and it's being presented, which is the most recent updated presentation that was released by the school district just a couple of days ago. And I want to thank Ms. Rebecca Thompson for being all over this and providing information back, at least to me, in this regard. And this is the same presentation, I believe, that we will probably see at the May 7th meeting that they're having with the community.
At Flanagan?
At Flanagan. So I'd like to just kind of rush through. We don't need to see everything. I just want to point out certain things. So on slide number 3 on this item here, so this right here is basically it shows what they call their innovation zones, and it means high school zones. And what that means is, as you can see, we have West Broward and Flanagan High School zones, which are colored, which means that they're targeted. And that means that every elementary and middle school that feeds into these high schools may be targeted for repurposing, reconfiguration, or even closure. And if we go to slide number 6, this shows the schools that are in the 2 reference zones. The key thing to point out here is that Panther Run Elementary, Palm Cove Elementary, and Pines Middle are all under 50% of utilization. And then we have Chapel Trail Elementary, Silver Palm Elementary, Pine Lakes Elementary, and Walter C. Young, and they are all under 70% of utilization. And these are essentially the schools that are experiencing the under-enrollment. And then again, this information was provided separately in a more tabular format, which you'll find very helpful. And your backup that looks like this, which has the actual schools and the actual percentage of enrollment.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very useful, by the way, for us.
Yeah.
Moving on to slide number 17. What's important about this slide is pay attention, because though we're hearing about what might be is some repurposing and not really a whole lot, but this is on the table, which is what they call total district realignment. That has not been taken off. It's not being talked about, but it's on the table. And this total, if you go to the next slide, thank you. This total district realignment, the big number to look at is the 42 on the bottom right corner. So what's on the table? 2 is the actual closure of up to 42 schools. The slide number 20, this just kind of really shows that they're actually putting this on an accelerated schedule, which we really need to be concerned about, which is why I'm bringing this item today. And I also provided, in your backup, a big boundary map. If you're interested, this really kind of tells you a lot about the schools in all of our districts. And then the last thing I actually provided was actually a state statute. This state statute is very, very important to us because the statute states, and I'm sorry I don't have the number on here, I can get that, it's in your backup. But it says, if a district school board facility or property is available because it is surplus, marked for disposal, or otherwise unused, it shall be provided for a charter school's use on the same basis as it is made available to other public schools in the district. That means if they decide to surplus one of their schools, because we're a charter school, we can actually take possession of that school by statute. So that's a very important thing to keep in mind as well. So, the reality is that we are, and we got a lot of great schools in our city, a lot of tremendously good schools, whether they be charter schools or some of the Broward County public schools. And the school district is talking about redefining these schools, and they have the sole authority to do that. We are talking sometimes a lot about the superintendent or staff. Of course, they put it all together, they make recommendations and things like that. But just as we are, the final decision makers, we sometimes may find a difference in the way that things are presented to us as a recommendation. And this can happen here with the school board. And it really wasn't until this week when we got this new information that we were able to understand a little bit more about what other things that they might do in terms of repurposing. So this presentation was actually shown at their very first community meeting. And the thing that's encouraging about that, though, still, nevertheless, is that you do have the superintendent who is recommending, no school closures in our city. And that's a very positive thing to have that. Matter of fact, he's recommending that the Panther Run Elementary School is recommended for what they call a program shift. The Silver Palm Elementary School is recommended for a boundary change. And the Pines Middle School is recommended for a grade configuration change from a 6-8 to a 6-12. So that would include high school students. And that as compared to the other option, which is 42 school closures. So we got a very wide choice, I guess, that is being presented to the school board, and it's on the table. So the important thing here is the school board is going to be making a decision very soon. And I think that we, as a body, need to send a unified voice to them as quickly as possible. And one thing could be sending a letter that certainly speaks to at least that we are in agreement with no school closures, and that we support the superintendent's recommendation, for repurposing the schools, because they don't sound unreasonable, and we can have dialogue if it does. And then, request them that that the city, this body, has direct involvement with them. I mean, we were talking earlier about having a workshop because of these other issues. Let's just throw it and say we want to have a direct communication about this as well. So, we can probably make a workshop that sort of, rolls, several things in there.
Without objection, we'll ask the manager to prepare a letter like that on your behalf. which I'll sign.
Okay. And so, going forward, and of course, I know we are looking for a fifth member to join us and things like that. But again, looking at the timeline, where May 14th is their board workshop, they're going to have a May 7th meeting. They're going to have a 14th workshop. Our next meeting is going to be on 15th. So, and then they're going to have a June 18th vote. So we need to have a meeting with them certainly well before June 18th.
Sure, okay.
So, and then we could talk about, those configuration changes, and if there is going to be any closure, obviously we do want to talk about compatibility to the surrounding community if they're going to be changed or, differently. The traffic impacts are going to be generated by some of the shift in student population. We don't know anything about that, even though they're going to we see this repurposing, but we don't know what that's going to create in traffic. Options that regard, city owns the land where Walter C. Young is. They own the building, we own the land.
We own both.
Oh, well, then I'm corrected. We own both. Interesting.
Yeah, they lease it.
So what do we do with that? And then just, again, we got this state statute, what's the option to follow through on this, But again, that's something that we should do where we have control of the conversation. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for the letter, and I ask my colleagues to support that we get a workshop together sooner than the June 18th meeting.
I'm sure we'll all see each other at Flanagan. This is a very serious matter and an issue that,
Mayor, they won't let us talk at Flanagan.
well, no, I said we'll see each other.
No, I'm saying we'll see each other, but I'm saying, they have a script that they're gonna follow.
All right. well,
Okay, it's better than the Oscars.
Yeah, but I
Um,
want to at least go there and hear what they have to say and, through our presence, communicate to them that this is an important matter.
I agree with you.
I want to tell you, Vice Mayor, that was a heck of a presentation. I really, really want to commend you for a very well-organized presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, I was in attendance at the last round at Flanagan back in January. The superintendent made a teleprompter speech. So if you watched last night, it's the same speech. That's how they're going to script it. There were no questions from the audience, and then they broke everyone out in the pods into different rooms and stuff. There was, let's just say the majority of the people there work for the school board. Okay. This time it may be a little bit different because I expect all of us to be there, representing. But I don't want to have any disappointment. It's a one-way message. Okay. And how they're going to allow the public to interact. I look forward to May 7th, but if it's anything like January, don't let your frustration level get too high.
Do we know, sorry, do we know or can we find out what the workshop on May 14th might look like? Maybe there will be allowed for public comment?
Valid point.
Because I know that, I was also there at that last community meeting. May 14th termed workshop may be different.
Could be.
Well, we're certainly interested. I mean, and unfortunately, sometimes these workshops may have like limits in time. You get only a minute or two, but we need to have a dynamic, because here's my other concern. They're having these community meetings. Yes, most of them will be, members of the school district. The other part of it will be parents. But what about the people who are actually living, that don't have children, that are in these school zones? you know, who's representing that? That's us.
Right.
That's why we need to have our direct dialogue with them, because we need to we represent our constituents.
Yeah, I mean, you know, but
And we
they,
need to speak on their
they,
behalf.
I mean, in fairness, they're also the constituents of the school board members. But I get what you're saying. But, you know, I don't want anyone blaming the city of Pembroke Pines because the school board of Broward County decides that they're going to close some of their schools. I mean, that would almost be as inconceivable as them not paying their SRO bill when we provide them with security. So, you know, this is a school matter. The city of Pembroke Pines cares about it. Minimally, they should be coordinating with us so that we can understand where these kids are going, where the teachers are going, what to tell the parents. Have they been told what they need to know? What are the traffic pattern shifts that are going to come out of this? You know, but I don't want anyone thinking that, you know, these school closures have anything to do with Pembroke Pines. We didn't conceive of it. We didn't think it up. We didn't suggest it. It's not, these are not our schools. This is being driven completely, totally, 100% by the school board of Broward County. And we have a concern about it. We're not happy about it. We want to find out about it. But at the end of the day, these are their schools to keep open or closed. And as we all know, we're generating fewer kids. And more of them are going to charter schools, and more of them are going to private schools because of the vouchers, and more of them are going or staying home and being homeschooled because there are financial incentives there. So they are losing market share, particularly in cities like Pembroke Pines, where we have more than one. And that's a question I have with respect to your ordinance as well, your statute as well. More than one very successful charter school system. There are more than one very successful charter school system and systems in Pembroke Pines. So it's a serious issue. It's a serious issue.
And if I may ask real quick, to the manager, what is the waiting list that we currently have in our charter system?
Last I checked, we were at about 5,000, although we've just done a new lottery system. So I don't know what
it could be.
That will end up
I'm
being.
sorry, what was the? 5,000. No, Vice Mayor asked a
No,
question.
I said that could be a whole new feeder system.
Almost. Yeah. Could be.
The last time I looked at it, we were between 28 and 31% of the student population within Pembroke Pines were in a charter school. Of the Pines charter school system, 28 to 31% were not Pines residents. The last time I looked at it. So,
Well, that
yeah,
could be because they moved out, right? Some
No.
siblings, that kind of thing.
No, they're actually from Davie and from everywhere else. I mean, everyone, there's members of the public who think that Pembroke Pines charter is only for Pembroke Pines residents. We are a Broward County system-wide charter school where a third of the students aren't Pines residents. And so, yeah, there's lots of different reasons why they're not Pines residents. That's why we have a list that active military get in first, then Pines residents and others. So, I mean, we're just following state statute, but,
Yeah.
you know, the Somerset, for example, they draw from Hollywood. So you wonder why you have issues along Pines Boulevard, because they're not coming from within the community from the minor arteries. They're going down the major artery trying to get there. So, you know, there's a discussion needs to be had. And I want to thank the Vice Mayor for bringing that forward.
Very, very interesting and very well presented. Thank you very much. Old business.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if you, the motion then is to do the letter.
yes,
And-
by
and
consent,
the
if
workshop.
you all can write that letter and,
The clerk can reflect that, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
and as soon as possible, and let me know, and I'll sign it on behalf of the commission.
All right, thank you. I have an old business item, but I wanted to ask, how do I get my screen? I just have to pull over to get it so that you can see what I have on my screen.
Madam Clerk, could you assist the
I just
commissioner?
need I know I need the drag, but I'm looking to see where the drag is at, and I get to the left side and it's not showing them. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay. Just because it was brought up, the Miramar agenda tonight, they don't have anything regarding incineration. They've got,
If it's not on this one, Commissioner, it'll be on the next one. I
Okay.
know that Mayor Messam told me that he was working with his city attorney to provide this. So
Okay.
they've committed to doing it.
all right, maybe,
I made your point clear.
maybe if our city attorney could just give them the.
Yeah, that
paper.
would be a good idea.
That would actually,
Sam?
can you
Sam?
send them the resolution, ask them to approve it?
Yeah, just send them a copy.
We'll do it.
And I will also follow up with the mayor.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your.
It'll just be helpful. So.
He committed to it.
Okay. So under old business, Vice Mayor Good had moved to table the following motion. Motion to approve the agreement between the Sheriff of Broward County and the City of Pembroke Pines to provide fire protection and emergency medical services by the City of Pembroke Pines within a certain portion of unincorporated Broward County. That was done by a prior commission. It was tabled. I would ask the mayor for consideration to bring it back tonight so we can put this to bed.
If you have, didn't we pass this item?
No, Mr. Mayor.
So why wasn't it put on the agenda? When is it coming back?
It had to be brought back by a commission.
Okay, so you want to do it now?
Yes, because the way that the motion was made by the vice mayor and approved by the commission, it just basically went off the gibbet. I actually had to pull it back off of the table in order for it to be considered.
Does anybody have an objection to bringing up? I don't have an objection. It really needs to be dealt with. So why don't we just go ahead and deal with it?
Okay, I don't have any discussion on it. I'm ready to approve. It was the vice mayor who had some concerns.
Mr. Gorin, can I just entertain a motion?
Sorry, can I ask what agenda this was on?
It was on a prior commission agenda.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so this was tabled March 6th. Yeah, March 6th, it was tabled.
City Attorney, this is a
Yes,
little
Mayor.
bit unusual. Please guide me on how to properly
I can.
entertain this motion.
The manager, city manager speaks to the truth of the issue. The answer was that the vice mayor moved to table the item. It was legally and properly tabled. It could not be brought back unless brought back by the commissioner, by a commissioner, and the commissioner.
Good enough. Commissioner Schwartz, could you please read the motion into the record?
Thank you, Mayor. Motion to approve the agreement between the Sheriff of Broward County and the City of Pembroke Pines to provide fire protection and emergency medical services by the City of Pembroke Pines within a certain portion of unincorporated Broward County.
Is there a second to the motion? Is there a second to the motion?
For background, if
I'll second the motion for discussion.
okay, so
Can you explain what this is?
Very briefly, sorry, I didn't know.
no, that's okay. The clerk placed the old business item on the table at the last meeting as a part of our packet. I know it's unusual to have like an item like that put there. It was put again tonight, this time in color for the purposes of us being able to make sure it's there. It's highly unusual that we ever have this kind of situation, right? But basically it's this. BSO will reimburse the city for going out to places that are essentially within our boundary. We can get there quicker than they can. And they will reimburse us a total cost of up to, I believe, city manager, $13,000. At the time of the discussion, and again, this is kind of a moving ball, we had this incinerator discussion. We haven't been able to get other cities to oppose things. So I can appreciate the concern and have it being tabled. But here's the thing, Commissioner Rodriguez, we are going out there anyway if an emergency call happens. So it basically comes down to, if we approve it, we get paid. If we don't, we still go out there and we don't get paid.
Vice Mayor?
The 3 locations that are listed in the back. 2, 4, it's been going on for years about this reimbursement, and what staff did is they took, I guess, a weighted average of a time frame of calls. it happens, but if a fire happens, we're going. If a crime happens, we're going. So BSO is going to reimburse us.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, yeah, I have a hard time accepting this item. You know, aside from the fact that I don't even think that there's adequate compensation. I think more about the safety of our own residents. I know that the reference to us having to go out there is the closest response unit type of thing if somebody's services are not available. But we're talking about doing services outside the city of Pembroke Pines. They're not in Pembroke Pines. And we're going all the way nearly up to Weston. Weston has BSO. So why does not Weston use BSO services to service their service area? So what happened to us when we have to send it out there is that we are obligated, it's not by closest unit, it's we're obligated under a contract. And that means that our units have to leave our stations and have to go to a location outside the city, far enough away where it impacts the ability for us to serve our own residents. Because if there's something that happens during that time, our unit is out there. Now we're going to have to wait for
Very
Miramar.
understandable point. Chief, can you come forward, Mr. Manager, if you don't mind?
Yeah, and it is split, Vice Mayor, between fire rescue and PD, okay? So Station 101, which I hope the chief will address, is the closest, not Weston.
Good evening, Marcel Rodriguez, Fire Chief.
So I recall you talking about how, in terms of workload, you have to do it anyway, and that this particular firehouse is more than capable of handling this without impact to others, to the circle that you deal with there. Am I recalling that correctly?
That's correct. There would be 2 stations that would be affected in this case. On average, I project probably closer to 10 calls, but I listed 13 to be safe per year. So that's the average of calls that we get to these unincorporated areas combined. It would impact Station 101 and it also Station 79. We are the closest stations, fire stations, to these unincorporated areas. And the one address on US 27 goes as far as Griffin Road and US 27. That's the furthest point.
My recollection is we've been doing this. This is a renewal of an agreement, right? We've been doing this for many years.
That's correct. This was supposed to be a renewal agreement, but the older agreement expired before it could be extended.
Right.
And city attorney's office suggested that we enter into a new agreement.
Can you? It's got to be 20 years that we've been doing
Back
this.
to 2010.
But
2010, that's when the one was signed.
I believe it's in the agenda, at least since 2013.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
So I also want to take in the consideration of what the future is, because many years ago, this city's western bounds was unpopulated too. And once everybody found it, they built, and right now we're in a massive building boom.
No, I get it. What is the termination? What are the termination terms here?
May I respond, Mayor?
Yeah.
Page 4 or 5 under Article 4, either party may terminate this agreement with or without cause upon providing to the other party with no less than 60 calendar days notice.
60?
60.
2 months.
60 without notice. No, with notice.
With notice, yes.
With or without cause?
With without cause, but you still got to provide notice.
So for any reason, you give notice, 60 days.
Termination for convenience.
It's better than an SRO agreement.
It's I think that solves a lot of problems. Any further?
No, sir, not unless you have any questions.
Okay, any further? Anything from the public?
We need a vote. man.
There's been a motion in a second.
Yeah.
Who seconded it?
You did.
Oh, there you go. There's a motion and a second.
And mind you, that was a very good second.
Any further discussion? Any from the public? Yes, sir. You have to speak here.
You got to talk on the mic.
Name and address for the record, please.
Ulysses, in CV 1300 Southwest 130th Avenue, Pembroke Pines.
Yes, sir.
Is the $13,000 going to cover those 10 calls that we're going to have to make?
Yes,
Chief?
yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Then why not do it?
Okay. Anything else? Any more from the public? All those in favor of the motions, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Show the motion passes unanimously. Any further business? Want to wish everyone a happy Mother's Day. We're in May. Mr. Manager, soon you'll be talking to us about budget and about hurricane preparedness, correct?
We will, Mayor.
This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
And school board workshop.
And school board worship. Good run, guys.
Oh.